Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners meeting of April 8th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone to please silence all electronic devices. At this time, I would like to ask you to please rise for the invocation and pledge. Madam Clerk.
Please bow your heads. O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey. Here. District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any item coming before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment on items to be placed on the future board agenda or other business under their purview. Public comment for public hearing items will be heard at 1:30 this afternoon. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer will sound and the podium will start a countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound. The light will change from green to yellow, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After the timer is 2 beeps will sound, the light will change from red or yellow to red, indicating the 3 minutes are up, and please close your comments. Do we have a comment section?
No one signed up.
No one signed up? Is there anyone here today who would like to speak to the board in public comment section? Seeing no one? Okay. We'll move on to consent agenda, and I have the following items full. C-43 withdrawn, C-12 withdrawn, C-28 withdrawn, C-39 withdrawn, C-40 withdrawn, C-31 withdrawn, C-50 withdrawn, C-16 withdrawn. Okay? Since there's no item we spoke about by the board, what's your pleasure with the consent item?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We're checking on one thing to see if I can vote on something.
It's a noted item.
So,
You're not voting. You're not voting.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I have a motion and a second for the consent items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Okay.
Bye.
Consent agenda.
Yeah, I say motion.
Moving here quick.
That's brilliant, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to regular items. R1.
Good morning.
Good morning.
R1 is an agenda item to approve the repayment by the Florida Turnpike Enterprise for the mitigation purchases needed for the Ridge Road Extension project. Along with that, we wanted to give you a status of the Ridge Road Extension project. If I can get this to work. There we go. So first of all, whoops, let's back that up. Can you back it up? Okay, so recently we have met with the Corps. We meet with them on a weekly basis, just so you know. Our group, the Florida Florida Turnpike Enterprise, as well as the Corps, we get together and talk about the issues of this project, just to make sure we keep it moving forward, because it is a essential addition to our east-west grid in Pasco County. So just recently, we had the biological assessment, and Fish and Wildlife both agreed that there was no issues with the permit. We just went through another public notice, the first one since April of 2011. Very positive, a lot of positive responses this time versus some issues, as you know, back in 2011. Sam, you want to come on up? So Sam's our project manager, and I'm going to go through it with him because he I have to give him credit for a lot of the positive progress we've had on this. So we were just going through the milestones of the project. So we just finished the RAI. We just wanted to close that out. There was an RAI from, what, 2011, Sam?
Yes, ma'am. You guys are flying this morning.
Can you back it up again? I keep hitting that button, and I don't know how to, oh, here we go, here's the back.
Please state your name, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Sam Bennett, the project manager in our engineering services group that has been very proactive in making this project happen.
Good.
So, go back.
All right.
I think
There we go.
my
gonna
job
turn it
is
over.
to actually do that, so you don't have to. Sorry about the delay. As Ms. Smith, I'm sure, has started telling you, we have been knocking out a lot of milestones here recently. We did get that biological assessment into the Army Corps, which they were able to then transmit to the EP, or to the Fish and Wildlife Service. They completed a public notice, and we had some really good news based on that public notice. Really, some things that I really hope that you all are very proud of. And we did complete that 2017 request for information. There was a lot of materials requested, including that biological assessment and some other materials. So all of that now is in the hands of the Army Corps. Subsequent to that, we did have a meeting with the Army Corps staff on the 28th, including folks from their Pensacola office, their Tampa office. Those two offices are coordinating on the review now. The Tampa office is getting more involved so that they can pick up the process essentially moving forward, and they're also providing some support in reviewing these individual documents that we've submitted. Turnpike staff was in attendance. Turnpike is, of course, a co-applicant with the county on this project. The public notice, and this is that news I hope you're proud of, we heard back from Fish and Wildlife Service and the Environmental Protection Agency. Past objections have been withdrawn. So, and a majority of the comments that were received overall were in support of this project. I believe there were about 160 comments, and well over 100 of those were supportive of the project. Coming out of that meeting, we did have some requests for some revisions to past documents that we've submitted to the Army Corps. Nothing unexpected, and those are things that we're underway with right now. Moving forward, based on that, very much as we expected, we anticipate that by July 15th, we'll have completion of the Fish and Wildlife Service consultation. That represents the largest single task in terms of time commitment that remains on this project, and it's actually outside of the county's, the Turnpike, and Army Corps' hands. It really depends on the Fish and Wildlife Service. Beyond that, we'll be looking for start of September, an environmental assessment and statement of findings to be completed by the Army Corps. We anticipate that they'll really be working on that before Fish and Wildlife consultation is done. So hopefully once the consultation completes, they can promptly complete their statement of findings. And then we're really looking forward to a September 23rd permit decision. This is based on our best available information, typical timeframes, as well as required timeframe on that Fish and Wildlife Services consultation. And then I hope you'll forgive me. I'm going to be focusing on getting us into construction as quickly as possible, and we'll circle back with all of you for a construction celebration very shortly after we're underway, and we will be underway by October, assuming that we hit these other milestones. To support that, we wanted to do some kind of innovative things with our bidding, and not just to getting under construction, but also getting this road serving the purpose that it's been needed for so long. To do that, we've started working very closely with the attorney's office, with the purchasing office, to make sure that everything that we're doing is defensible. And once that review is complete, we anticipate bringing the package to the board to, as its own item, discuss it with you all, make sure that you understand it and concur with the strategy. But right now, what we're proposing is what's called an A+B bid with incentive-disincentive. And the way that works is that you get a base cost, which is your A, a number of days, which is B, that has a cost associated, and you combine the two. Right now, we're saying that a day is worth $15,000 in terms of the time cost. We also have the incentive-disincentive with specific milestones, and this is a project that serves many purposes. We've distilled that to 3 milestones. The contractor will not earn or lose their entire incentive based on one day. It'll run incrementally, and we're using that same $15,000 per day. We move to our first milestone as an example. Would be completion of 4 lanes of Ridge Road between Moon Lake Road and Town Center Boulevard. You can see, I'm sorry, I don't have a laser.
It's gonna be so good for the high school. Oh.
The orange outline there, that would provide a second entrance and exit to that school facility.
So good, yeah.
That is a major challenge in the afternoons. There's enough time while you're sitting there waiting to get out for you to put in a work order request to Public Works, for example. Not that I have any experience with that. That would be completed by August 10, 2020. That's for that first day of the school year. If they complete it on August 10th, then there's $0 between the contractor and the county based on that. For every day in advance, they'll earn incentive. And for every day after, they'll lose that disincentive at $15,000 a day. So if they come in 13 days early, they'll get a full $195,000 incentive. And if they're 13 days late, they'll be charged that disincentive. Our next milestone, and this is Mr. Biles' idea, was to target a 2-lane opening of Phase 1, which would allow 2-way traffic between Moon Lake and the Suncoast Parkway prior to that 2021 hurricane season. So we've identified May 31st, that's the official start of hurricane season, and this is our largest incentive, that $1.5 million. And again, it's not make or break on one day. If they're a little bit late, they'll be charged per day for being late, and if they're early, they'll start to earn that incentive. The third milestone is the overall completion, and that would be by the 2022 hurricane season, but exactly the same procedure. Because we are looking to have all of this ironed out, finalized, and reviewed by the board in advance of advertisement and contractor selection, one of our other ideas that could possibly advance shrink that time frame would be a delegation of authority to the county administrator to, assuming that the bid comes in within the anticipated level, Mr. Viles could then sign the contract and issue the notice to proceed, and that would allow, as soon as we receive that permit, we can notify the contractor that they can get working. It allows us to bid in advance and then just be much more flexible when the final decision is made, assuming that it's a favorable decision. So I suppose that's everything that I had prepared. I'd be happy to answer any questions you all have about where we are now, where we need to go, anything I can do for you.
That's very informative. Good news for us, good news for Pasco County. That's an important road for us.
Yes, sir.
So any questions? Ms. Perkins?
Sam, I just want to be sure that that we are in discussions with Swift Mud about the opportunity for a trailhead at Suncoast. There is land there that's not part of Serenova. That was land that was used by Department of Transportation to build their burrow pits. So they carved it out, and then they gave it back to Swift Mud. But we were told by Swift Mud years ago that we could use that as a trailhead, and it's high and dry, so we are working on that.
I'm actually meeting with the our environmental team right after this meeting. Yes, we are coordinating with the Water Management District on that, as well as a lot of other opportunities that, that's why I have to meet with Pasco staff first before I commit to anything. But yes, we're pursuing that as well as other things.
Wonderful. It'd be great if there's a restroom there.
Just,
I have received the message on plumbed restrooms, yes.
but to
Mr.
be
Biles?
clear, Sam, that's not in this set of construction documents, correct?
Well-
That's correct. That is not in this set of construction documents. The wayside area is in this set of construction documents. And we've been working with Duke Energy on a small parking area that may or may not be in this set of documents, depending on whether or not we can get our agreement with Duke at the same time. That may be something that we have to visit, after our initial roadway construction. But what we're coordinating with the Water Management District wouldn't affect our initial roadway construction. It's laying the groundwork for those facilities in the future.
Can you go back to the map that might show the commissioners where the area is I'm talking about? And that would be at the Suncoast and Ridge intersection.
Where do I need to point? There we go.
No. So if you see those borrow pits there, there's supposedly some, and gosh, I've been talking about this since Gallagher was here, but there is land there by that borrow pit that is not part of Serenova, that, yeah,
There we go.
right there, that was where we were told we could have a access to a trail there, so.
Well, and I'm speaking a little bit ahead of my turn here. I've not worked with Keith's staff, and we certainly have not finalized any of our agreements with the Water Management District, but we're really revising a lot of our agreements with the Water Management District relative to this road, possibly relative to the entire Serenova and Starkey Wilderness, refreshing them for current conditions, and also pursuing those opportunities like you've identified. So this is kind of a critical first step, but yes, we're aware of that. I'm specifically aware of that, and we're continuing to pursue it.
Okay, wonderful.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. Dan and team, I like your idea of the incentive for being ahead of schedule and de-incentivizing being behind schedule. I think it could be great to look at this for future projects too. You're probably already thinking that, i.e. maybe in the 75 overpass interchange. Be a good one to look at too in the future. So great idea there. My assumption is we're going to actually need a motion to, I mean, there's a motion to a recommendation to approve, but we would also need a motion to give the county administrator, Dan Biles, that delegation of authority.
So, Commissioner, we're going to come back either at the next meeting in April or in May with the actual resolution that
Okay.
outlines these incentives.
So we don't need to do that.
It's a lot more
We don't need that.
specific, that's finalized, and again, as Sam noted, we're working with the county attorney's office right now. We want to make sure that's all teed up and ready to go. So you don't need that today. You do need to approve the FTE agreement, but not that motion today.
Okay,
We just wanted to kind of brief you now so that you kind of had we could get kind of your sense for whether or not you concurred with that or
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Okay, motion to
Great.
approve the agreement.
Second.
Yes.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Great job.
Motion
with that.
passed. Sam, thank you for the information.
Mr. Chairman, good more discussion
Yes.
too? Sam, tremendous job. Thanks for keeping this going. Margaret and your team as well doing a great job. And I say I want to give kudos to the board. I mean, did we make a fantastic selection with our county administrator? I mean, we all knew to get this through, we probably needed a solid engineer, and it's helped with so many projects, Mr. Biles, that for you to
Thank
get
you.
this, to take these steps is absolutely phenomenal. and I think the citizens of Pasco will be very well served, so.
We have a really good team working on this, and I think even with the modification of the Dawson agreement, it's worked out really well for us, and we're cautiously optimistic that we'll be moving forward with this late this summer, so.
Great job.
Ms. Starkey?
So my kids all went to River Ridge Middle and High School, and I can tell you, on the middle school dance, middle school prom or whatever, that traffic backs up way down Ridge Road. It takes a couple hours to get in and pick up your kid and drop them off. It's a nightmare, so this is gonna be so wonderful for that high school and middle school.
The county has, I believe, at least 2 CIP projects related to this Moon Lake, Decubulus, Ridge Road intersection that are really directly related to the challenges there, and we're really hoping that opening even this first link will help to resolve a lot of the challenges there and clean up that operationally relative to the school, as well as just the traffic demands right now where you have Ridge Road terminating at Moon Lake. So,
Okay. Any other questions? Sam, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. R2?
Good morning, David Engel, Office of Economic Growth. I'm here today to give the board a brief overview and update with performance metrics regarding our primary incentive programs in Pasco County. The first slide gives you a bird's eye of where we are with the Jobs and Economic Opportunity Trust Fund. We're currently on a run rate to collect over the 10-year period between 2015 and 2025, $60 million. The Office of Management and Budget periodically and annually update us as to the collections to make sure that we're on track and we're not overspending the amount of money that we have available for this program. To date, we've spent $22 million. It consists of all the awards that have been granted by the Board of County Commissioners. The bottom line is an encumbrance line. It's kind of a moving target. It consists of performance-based money we haven't paid out, some additional programs associated with some of our partners, and also some of the strong pipeline projects that we have. Our expenditures over the last several years are spelled out in this chart. They consist of a variety of types of programs. We have job skill programs. We have PEDC-generated qualified target industries that are coming into our county, like Touchpoint and Wellbuilt and Metler Toledo, Blue Sim. And we also have the job skills programs with AmSkills, Pasco Hernando Workforce Board, and also a variety of great programs that are administered through our Pasco EDC. This is just a chart of the programs and the status. I thought the board may want to look at it at their leisure. The next chart is a representative of the primary incentives awarded by the Board of County Commissioners. I took 2 PADS and PORS programs. Those are our accelerated economic development programs, as well as our occupancy ready programs, and we took 2 of the qualified target industries that have been generated through the Pasco EDC. I just want to add that when we get to this level, there's been a lot of things happening beforehand. The Pasco EDC, I consult with them all the time, even on our PADS and PORS, even though they're not originated. And we do marketing studies, we analyze, we vet the applicants, and the dialogue takes sometimes over a year, maybe even 2 years. But the important feature of this chart shows you that for every dollar that the board is awarded, we've gotten $10 back and gain to the county. And that's a snapshot, so it doesn't even account for the recurring benefits that are inured over time. Oh, sorry. I apologize for that. The next incentive program is your Jobs and Creation Incentive. It's been around since 2011. The board awards industries that create high-paying jobs that are at least 15% above the median pay in Pasco County. And this is one of our most highly successful programs. We've created almost 1,300 jobs since 2011, and for every job that we create, it costs the county about $3,800. And we've looked at other JCI programs throughout the state, and your performance indicator is much lower than most of the ones that we've observed. Outside of the county, we see job creation incentives coming in at basically $5,000 to $9,000 a job. So it's been very effective. And you see the rate of return or rate on investment is extremely high. For every dollar that you've awarded, you've gotten $30 back in benefit. Well, as I told you, the encumbrance is larger than the expenditures, and that's because our pipeline is robust and growing. Just would add that the MPUDs that the Board of County Commissioners approved, especially along the 54 corridor, are now focusing on their employment centers as their residential and retail get built out. So we have a number of big projects coming in consisting of hundreds of thousands of square feet of Class A office buildings. Right now we have 3 to 4 Class A office buildings. We are processing their incentive awards now, and we'll make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners in the next several months. We also have some flex, Class A flex like Herod, which is located on 54. There's 2 flex buildings there. They're almost all pre-leased, and we're getting ready to come in for a 3rd building. And we also are working with the Pasco EDC on approximately a $250,000 qualified target industry. So I'll be here hopefully often over the next months, and we also will have a much more in-depth analysis and presentation by the Jobs and Economic Opportunity Committee when they make their fiscal year presentation to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
Question, Mr. Miller?
Thank you. Comment then a question. Again, excited to see the Class A office space coming in. Obviously, we know we've had a lack of product ever since, I joined in 2014. Now we're going to actually have product that we can actually sell, which is great. And there's some more things in the wings that are going on, and especially in that east side of the county that I'm sure will come up in the very near future, and people will be very excited about. One thing I am a little concerned about is we did make the investment in the Zephyr Hill Sewer, that project around the airport, and things have seemed to have stalled there. I know, again, when I came on in 14, there was a lot of excitement about that project, and I'm just not hearing much about it anymore. So could you fill us in on where we are? And again, we made the investment. We're not seeing an ROI yet. When can we see that?
Well, there's 2 things that are going on. First of all, the sewer main will be done by May.
Okay.
It's about 3 to 4 months behind. It's a performance-based payout by the Board of County Commissioners. We've processed 2 payments, and they are finishing up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, as the Board of County Commissioners is aware with the city-county workshop that you just had, the city is working very aggressively towards an industrial park around the airport.
Yeah.
Well, no, I know they are, and we've been working on that. Even before that started before I came on board, again in 2014. So, I haven't seen a timeline recently. How are the conversations going with the landowners? When are we going to actually see this officially move forward? Because to me, it's not. We're putting in again the sewer and the water, but when are we going to see something go vertical?
We're working right now with the Pasco EDC on that project, and if I could, I'd like to come back or submit a written report and
Okay.
update. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could update us on that, because
We'll get you-
it's
we'll
very
get you
important to a
an
lot of us, because it's obviously a very important project, and we've moved forward with 56, punching through, and with some of the work being done in 98, it just makes sense to have it. You have the CSX rail line that goes straight to the port, so I don't have to sell anybody on it. We just need to move ahead. And
So Mr. Moore, I've been working real close with Zephyr Hills, and they are working and they're getting the word out, and they're working with PEDC on that issue of getting the word out. It takes a lot of time to get that word out to where you start seeing the result from all that activity. So I think it's being handled the proper way, and I think we're going to see something in the future, so.
Well, there was, just to respond to that,
Yeah.
where do you can bring the report back, but, I mean, I know you're saying it's moving forward, but where are we when working with the landowners? Again, those talks were moving forward, and I had quite a few meetings, a couple of years ago on it, and I know that's in your district now, but
Yeah.
I was very involved for a time being, and things seem to have stalled.
Well, I admit it is slow, and it moves
Yeah.
slow, but until you get that word out, until it starts connecting with people, then I think you'll see some things happening. But again, we're also doing a study of the extension of the 56 that comes around back to Chauncey, which is part of that movement of people coming across 301, go to 39 through Crystal Springs area, and then back to Chauncey Road. All that's going to play into this industrial park, and there's some good businesses already on Chauncey Road that are very active. One of them had Adam go out and look at it, and also Keith Wiley went. The indoor soccer they got working there, they're going to come up with some uses there with the soccer fields there at the county's field. And you're going to see some activity there, and they're going to bring in some teams from Europe into that area, which we haven't had before. So I think you'll see some activity in the near future on that.
And I can appreciate there's a lot of good things happening.
A lot of
Again,
good things.
But just again, along that CSX, along that S line is, there was a lot of buzz about it for a long time, that we were gonna, that it's an opportunity to have industrial parks and that light manufacturing, even heavy manufacturing along that corridor, because the line's there. And then obviously with the 56 extension being there, it's easy for the tractor
So you
trailers
know
to get in and out too
they're
and connect now.
actually talking in the city, they're talking about possibly around the airport doing a spec building that they hope.
Okay,
to
well,
be
that's-
able to
okay,
lease.
so
And that's the kind of
that's-
thing you want to hear,
Okay,
and
so-
that's what we think will be part of getting it started.
So the city's thinking about doing a spec building?
Yes. Yeah.
Do we know how many square foot they're thinking of?
I think they're looking at something like 50,000 square feet to begin with, so, it's not a lot, but it's a beginning. So they got to get the users to come use that, so.
So if we could bring it, maybe,
I will do that, and I am aware that the Pasco EDC is marketing that area, and they've had discussions with.
Tom Ryan is also in those meetings, so.
Yes, he's very
We'll
much
talk
involved,
about
and
it.
we've shown some qualified target industries the area.
Yeah. Good. Ms. Stark?
I saw those numbers you had for AmSkills, and I knew that wasn't correct, so because I know a bunch of the students had been placed, so I quickly asked Tom what his numbers were, and I'm going to have him email all of you, but we're still trying to get you and you in, and we have some ideas for
Andy's
you.
going next week.
Yeah.
I'll be following up with that.
Tourist Development Council Day. But, so just real quickly, the Youth Pre-Apprenticeship Program, 19 placed and hired, 5 have current pending placements, 8 went to college, unfortunately, 1 deceased. You remember, that was the niece of, or the goddaughter of Michelle. We have an adult pre-apprenticeships, which we started last year, 35 completed, 20 placed and hired. All 35 that started the program completed it. 15 couldn't be placed. Well, 1 started college. 1 was 27 hours away from completing his mechanical engineering degree at USF, and he wanted to take a break, get some hands-on skills, so he went back to college. And then we do get some students that come in, and because of judicial issues, they can't be placed. We try. And some background issues. And then 7 students decided not to pursue a career in manufacturing. So, but we'll email the numbers to you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. This is as of the year end of 2018. AmSkills updates us quarterly, so these are new events, and we will update our records.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Thank
get
you.
those to you.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr.
I just want to say,
Mariano?
Mr. Engel, I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the conversation, about the Zephyr Hills, because it is a big investment, but knowing it's moving forward, I think the timing delay probably explains a lot of it, so I think it's going to be an exciting opportunity for us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
R3?
Turns on.
What's that?
Turns on.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anne Marie Winter. I'm your Executive Director for the Area Agency on Aging. I want to thank Commissioner Wells for being a very active and engaged board member, and for each of you for the support that you provide to Pasco County, which is a wonderful partner. I'm here today to update you on the Community Assessment Survey of Older Adults. As you may remember, the Commission agreed to help fund this project. Do I just click? Oh, okay. Are you doing it? Okay, thanks. Okay, great. So the survey has been sent to 10,000 randomly selected households across Pinellas and Pasco counties where there is at least one resident who is 60 plus. Residents are going to receive a postcard. It was actually sent out on March 26th with instructions in both English and Spanish. We have our board member Julie Hale here today supporting us, but she's actually gotten one of these surveys, and this is what it looks like. And so 10,000 residents in Pinellas and Pasco counties are going to receive these surveys. They're mailed in English, but they're available online in Spanish. Residents are encouraged to complete the survey to provide critical information on it. The Community Assessment Survey of Older Adults is different than another survey that Pasco County hospitals are engaged in called the Community Health Needs Survey, which is being distributed to a broader demographic. So the survey went out today. And data collection is going to continue until May 21st. In addition to the mailed survey, I am happy to inform you that there are going to be 2 focus groups, one here in Dade City and one in Newport Richey, which we're doing in conjunction with Pasco County. Kathy Pearson and her fabulous staff, Kim Price, Tom Snee, are helping us to organize those through the congregate dining centers. Results of the survey are going to be available in July of 2019. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to get direct feedback on what the needs of seniors are so that that can be incorporated into our funding strategy. As you know, we provide about $2.3 million to Pasco County as our partner to provide meals, transportation, e-heap, services to help people pay their electric bills. And it's all according to what the federal government wants us to do. We also receive money from the state and put about $5 million in services to various Pasco County nonprofits and local businesses to help provide services to the seniors according to what the state wants us to provide. But what we're trying to identify is what does the actual senior need and want. This survey has been developed by the National Research Center. It's a national organization that's working with area agencies on aging throughout the country to do these kind of surveys. And it's evidence-based, meaning our results are going to be benchmarked according to similarly situated and population size cities across the country. The data that's going to be returned is going to be put into this report, which we'll have available in July of 2019. Okay, so a little bit about the history of this. In January of 2018, the Pinellas Community Foundation determined that they were going to focus on aging and came to us at the Area Agency on Aging. We've been around since 1974. I think we've been partnering with Pasco County ever since then to provide services to seniors. And they wanted to fund some programs, but weren't sure about what the services needed to be. So together, we approached Pasco County, Pinellas County, the Pasco Department of Health, Pinellas County Department of Health, City of Dade City, City of Newport Richey, City of Clearwater, and City of St. Pete to participate in this survey. And so we're really delighted that there's both a public and private partnership, municipality, and counties involved in this. In addition, Commissioner Wells, as our board member, and Julie Hale participated in a strategic planning process for the Area Agency on Aging. We wanted to do more than the federal and state dollars allowed us to do. We have 450,000 seniors in Pinellas and Pasco counties. 150,000 of them are here in Pasco, and we want to ensure that we're providing all the services that they need. We have a feeling that things that we don't fund are going to be an issue. Things like accommodation, housing, greater transportation. And so we're going to be creating a coalition of stakeholders to start addressing these issues. And these are our partners. I want to say a special thank you to Pasco County and Kathy Pearson, who's been doing just a great job in working closely with us on this survey. We're excited about this partnership. It's the first time that any such survey has been done in the state of Florida. So Pasco is really on the cutting edge of senior services. We know that you contribute extensively to the dollars that we provide to ensure that seniors are getting the services that you need. We're hoping to get some publicity about this. We had a great editorial in the Tampa Bay Times. This week's Lutz Ledger, Lake Ledger, is going to be running a story. We've sent it to Chris Drews here in Dade City and Zephyr Hills to run stories. We've got it on social media because we want as many people that receive it to actually complete this survey. And I want to thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Mr.
No,
Earl?
just thank you. That we're so lucky to have you and I enjoy serving on the board. We got so many committed board members. It really is great to see so many folks that are so give so much back to our community to help our seniors. So thank you, and Kathy. I know the relationship. That's what it's about. Not to mention all the other cities and everybody coming together. I'm interested to see the results. I don't think they're going to be surprising, but it'll be good to be able to pinpoint some other seniors that need help. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Mr. Chairman?
questions? Mr. Marrone?
Yes, Anne Marie, you're doing a great job. And this weekend, we've got that CARES event, the beach charity event up at Sun West. And I think it'd be good to have, maybe if you want to have a booth out there or just tag onto a booth to get the exposure, just kind of let people know. I'd be happy to announce it on the stage, whatever, to kind of let people know to stop by the booth. You want to help promote it?
Sure. I'll be in touch with Jemith. We
Okay.
can let her know when we are having the Dade City and Newport Richey focus groups, and if seniors want to attend, absolutely, they're invited. That's a great idea. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I got one quick question, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
since we have time. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Hey, so how many agencies, home health agencies, registries, whatever, are out there providing services under the diversion programs, or actually I should talk more about CCE, ADI, and all those?
Right. So we don't actually work with nurse registries. We only work with home health agencies whose staff are employed because of background screening issues. We currently have contracts with 57 in both Pinellas and Pasco counties. So that's the partnership we have with the for-profit sector to provide those services. I do want to say that CARES, though, in Pasco is also a home health agency, and so they also provide services, but the majority of those services are provided by the for-profit sector, and we have 57 current vendor agreements.
So do we know how many of those are Pasco? Because
I don't off the top of my head, but I can certainly provide that information
I'm
to
just curious. Yeah.
you.
So you
Yeah.
don't feel there's a shortage in Pasco County of providers?
That's a great question. We definitely would like to see more in East Pasco. I think CARES fills that void here, but we don't have as many home health agencies in the east side of the county as we do in central and west, for sure. And some of the Pinellas home health agencies actually provide services in Pasco because just there aren't enough organizations here doing that.
Interesting.
Good question.
Is there,
Go ahead.
is there something we can do to help ease that gap?
Well, we work with the Chambers of Commerce to tell them what the issues are. We have presented before some of the CNA associations. It's really a matter of supply and demand, and for private businesses who are interested in this to have an understanding of what the business opportunities are.
Is there a way that we can help those businesses know there's opportunity on the east side? If you say there's opportunity.
Well, what I can do is provide the statistics. You know, our goal is to build the capacity of the nonprofit sector. So we do everything we possibly can to help those organizations that are nonprofits continue to grow. But certainly we can provide statistics on what the numbers are, because we do have waiting lists in Pasco, in the eastern part of Pasco County, Dade City and Zephyr Hills, for those kinds of services. On the flip side, you know, the rates that we pay are very competitive and fairly low. So agencies really have to have volume in order to sustain themselves, not relying solely on the Area Agency on Aging for its source of business.
Okay, well, I hate to hear about waiting lists. I remember when I got elected, we had that waiting list for our
Food.
feeding program for the elderly,
Yes.
and we suggested a nonprofit come step up, and then they made one. So if we need, you know, whatever we need to do to help, I'd like to not have a waiting list.
Again, I can provide information to Kathy on the number of organizations that we fund, the ones that are in Dade City, and the waiting list for services. No problem.
That'd be great, because
Sure.
our elderly are so vulnerable, and
Absolutely.
I just
Thank
hate the
you.
thought of them not getting what they need, so.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you,
Got here
Chairman
that it's
Oakley.
Receive and file, that's not a voting,
Just presentation.
Thank you.
it's just presentation, okay? With that, that ends all our regular items, and now we'll move on to old business. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things I wanted to go over. First one is the Disabled Hockey Festival has been going on, or went on the last 2 weekends. Had the opportunity to stop by on March 29th and drop the puck for the Lightning alumni and standing amputee game. I can tell you what, that place was packed. It was just amazing, and our tourism team did just an extraordinary job. Talking with the director of USA Hockey, he had mentioned that we were the most hospitable county / municipality and facility that they've ever been to in 15 years. So we'd love to bring them back. They're booked for then obviously the next 2 years. They do that in advance, but our team obviously did an amazing job, and really hats off to all of them, but especially Consuelo, which I think practically lived there during that time.
Yeah.
But approximately 105 teams, I think is how many there were total. And we're going to wait on the room nights, but it's probably going to be well over, it could be 2,200 room nights. So when you think about what some of our county assets, or assets within the county are putting out now when it comes to these room nights, I mean, we're the top of the heap now. It's hard to compare. You think about what we're doing as a county, especially when it comes to tourism, and bringing events like this in, and the future of the Wiregrass Ranch Sports Complex. I mean, compare that to counties that maybe have a professional baseball team or football team. They don't get that return on the investment like we do here in Pasco County. The people that are coming here, that are traveling from all over the nation, if not all over the world, to play in these tournaments, they're spending the night in our hotels, whereas it's very rare that some of the cities and counties, I mean, it's great to have professional teams, but at the same time, they just don't get the return on the investment for their citizens and the taxpayers, where this does. So I'm excited about it more than ever. So great job to the team. And then on Friday, I attended the Senior Services Annual Luncheon. You guys, again, the team did a great job, so congratulations to you. It was a packed house. A lot of them were dressed up in their sock hop gear. I was not, but you guys looked great. You did good, but it was a great event. Congratulations to all the volunteers. I think there's volunteers from 6 different senior centers that were recognized at that event too. So without those folks, it just wouldn't happen. And there was representatives from the Property Appraiser's Office and Tax Collector's Office that also attended. So again, kudos, hats off to you guys. One more thing, since we do have time. I did do a tour last week with FDOT, looking at some of our roadways around the rest of the Chapel, Lutz, Lena Lakes area. Discussed with them what could be done when it comes, and I know I brought this up before, and so was another commissioner, landscaping in that area. Obviously, we know that 56, 75, that interchange is under construction, so nothing will be done until after that's constructed. but I felt positive about my conversation on the 5475 exit, that somebody could possibly be done there. And in addition to that, I looked at, I kind of figured like that's a big gateway, obviously, for our county. So even looking at 581, Bruce B. Downs, when your people are coming from Tampa, what could be done along those roadways? So I felt positive. They're going to get back to us soon. I know they mentioned that. They did mention that Commissioner Starkey had been meeting with them over at around the Suncoast in that area. So I laid off that. Said, she's got that covered. Good. But they did mention that. So thank you for that. But I'm excited about it. I felt it was very positive. I think Andy's out there. He was with me. He'll agree that it felt very good. But we're also going to look at, though, too, and Andy's working on this with staff, is applying for the grant very similar to what was done on 19. So any, I hate to say free, but free to the county dollars that we can bring in would work. We just need to, again, spruce up that area. We're talking about 41 too. I'll hold off on a grant for 41 because we want to see how it goes under the appropriation. Lee's has that right now in the Senate. It seems to be moving forward. And then Zeke is gonna, we'll pick that up on the House side too. So if we can get those dollars, hopefully some good things will happen. So that's all I got.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Oh, I think Mr. Biles wants to.
Well, you had asked, I think last meeting, or last
thank
time
you
we
so
hear about
much.
illegal dumping.
Yes, we have time. Yes.
So, we do have an update for the board on illegal dumping and what we've been doing for the last several months. So
Great.
if your
That'd be
pleasure.
great. Thank you for
we
that.
can run through that real quick, so.
Okay.
So glad you asked. Mark Bellis, Performance Management. In the spirit of continuous process improvement, anytime you put in a new program or process over a period of time, you have to regularly evaluate how well that program is going. So, Commissioner Moore, when you asked the question about are we still doing this, do we need to re-promote it, it was a good time for us to look back and see how well we're doing over the year that the program has been in place. So just want to report out to you the incredible things that are going on. The work is outstanding, and I'm actually was very happy to see myself how exactly much has been going on in that period of time. So the program itself, if you recall, a year ago we called it Rid Pasco, and it was an opportunity for our citizens to report illegal dumping across the county. So we made sure that there were a number of ways that they could actually report this. There. You could see that they could go to the Pasco app, they could go to the Rid Pasco email, they could call directly to customer service, they could put a photo on social media using the Pasco Proud or the Rid Pasco hashtags, or they could go to the specific website for illegal dumping. And folks did exactly that. So if we look at what happened over a year's time, and we actually looked at February to February, 18 to 19, we wound up with 1,162 reports that came into customer service, and the majority of them were by phone. 1,000 of them came in by phone. A little less than 100 came in through the Pasco app. We're hoping that will increase. And then the email, there were 35. So these all came into customer service, and let me share with you a little bit of what happened after that. Customer service went into the process generating the work orders. They did the initial triage to determine whether it was appropriate to send this to code enforcement or to the public works folks for cleanup, depending on whether there's a potential violation or not. And so you can see that 530 of these work orders went to code enforcement, 631 went to the public works crew. And I'm going to break this down a little bit further to show you what they did with them. Starting with code enforcement, the work orders that came from customer service, you could see that their triage process, there were a number of them that were not violations. There were some that were duplicate complaints, some that were reported to the cities because they were within their limits. This is the one that I really love. 74 times the officers in their trucks just cleaned it up themselves. That's awesome. That's initiative. That's showing that we got a lot of folks here that really care about what we're doing. So that's great teamwork. Out of those, 152 warnings were issued for violations. The other number that's really exciting there is that 98% of those were taken care of, complied with, which is great. That's what we want. We don't want to be an organization that is out there issuing citations. We want people to clean it up, and that's what's happening. So that was another number that was really good to see. There were 19 citations issued, and 2 cases actually have gone to court for illegal dumping. So that's pretty good in a year's time. So that's the code enforcement piece. and we'll take a look at the public
Can I
works.
stop real quick?
You can.
Since you're on
Yeah,
it, do you mind
absolutely.
backing up a slide, Mr. Chairman? Do you mind?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the two cases filed for illegal dumping, they have gone to court or they're going to court?
The clerk reported to us that the two were in the courts now, so.
Good. So what can we do, maybe working with the PIOs to promote that this is moving forward so we can get the word out there that this could happen to you
Yes.
if you dump illegally in Pasco County?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, let's put their faces out there.
Yes, so again, just about to get to that.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. You're ahead of me on that. So just real quickly, to give you an idea, again, impressive numbers here. Once the work orders went to Public Works, you can see that over 3,000 man-hours were dedicated to cleanup efforts, and of that, 180+ thousand tons, or 180 tons, 361,000 pounds of debris removed by that group. That's a ton, tongue-in-cheek. That's amazing amount of work. I do want to update you on the video surveillance program because we did have some luck with that early on.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few struggles right now with people removing cameras or painting over them. So we're looking at ways to solve that particular piece. And we do have some ideas on that. So you asked specifically about what we are doing to move forward. Just to give you an idea of what some of the improvements are to the program itself. We started to make sure that every piece of this over this year's time has been mapped so all of the players, all of the folks that have a role in this process know what their role is. We've been able to further define what's a violation, what's not, what is appropriate for code enforcement to go out after, what is appropriate for Public Works to take care of. So that was a lot of clarification that came from the teams, everyone at the table who had a touch point in this. We also have had great cooperation from the Sheriff's Office. They have offered to help us in any of the larger cases, particularly around commercial issues, and they have provided inmate work crews to assist in some of the larger cleanups. So again, a very good collaborative effort across the county. So we are currently in the Media Relations and Communications Group working with the Public Works on what we're calling cold case videos. There is a series of videos that we're going to begin to post. We're going to be putting them up. Generally, we're going to have a singular push by quarter to see how that works, perhaps more often if it makes sense to do that. But it's going to be sort of that whole cold case approach. And so 2 to 3 videos will be sent to the local media outlets, again, making this a very high visibility. The media was very cooperative, very happy to see this. It was good stories for them. They worked with us. As these cases get cleaned up, we're going to be reporting out on that as well. And you can see what we've done, particularly in the Development Services branch, with the various types of social media pushes that are going on. We're going to re-promote this, and we're going to have the before and after social media piece. We're going to make sure that we're getting pictures that come in before and after. And you'll see a renewed energy, very similar to when we first launched this in February of 18, a brand new push out saying, this is how well it's worked. We want everyone to be a part of it, making sure that the citizens know what they can do, and promoting it really through all of our partners as well. So a big re-energized push, and put some of the numbers up to let folks know that it's been successful in the first year.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Question, just a follow-up to the two cases that are going through the court proceedings. Do we know if those individuals were Pasco residents, or they come from, or do we know if they came out from outside the county and dumped in Pasco County?
I don't actually have those details.
Can we find that out?
Absolutely
Andy,
so.
we'll
You bet.
work with you on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely so.
Yeah.
And some of that, in that system, we don't know what we can go public with and not, but I think once something is
Somebody
cleaned
gets
up.
arrested,
Yeah, we can
public
certainly.
record.
Yeah, that was my thought, absolutely, absolutely. So the more of this we're able to do, the more we
want
can
to
publish
discourage
and
and,
produce.
hey, let's
Yeah.
let
Yeah,
people
it-
know
it-
that this unfortunately could happen to you. if
Yeah.
you Come to our county and.
Yes,
illegally
absolutely.
dump.
So a lot of good stuff going on. The teams have really responded well to taking care of the things. I love the initiative of folks showing up and taking care of something without having to call someone else. A lot of really good things going on. So now we have to get the public back behind it. We have to re-energize that so we get more of these reports, and we have more that we can take care of on that larger scale.
So we can expect the PIO, the team, and to start pushing this out like a little more, once again, the Red Pasco and
Yes,
We'll see some more tweets and
Absolutely
Facebook
so.
posts and all
Yes.
that great stuff, right?
highly visible,
Very
just
good.
like when we started.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. Yes.
Ms. Starkey?
I've been getting a lot of photos of dumping in the Holiday area, Holiday Lakes, and along Anklo Boulevard, and some areas back there that are pretty wooded. And I don't think we have a camera back there, although we'd really like to have one.
Okay, I'll take a look.
So if you could talk with your team, and I'd be
Sure.
happy to
Public Works.
have me or Michelle go over where the area is.
Commissioner, are these reports going into our system so that?
I
they-
don't know, they're coming in my office, and
Okay.
Michelle's handling them.
Okay, I can talk to Michelle about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way that the process is set up, it works very well once the things are put into that funnel.
Okay.
And so rather than shortcutting and calling Public Works to go do something or code, if it goes into this process,
I think,
it works very well.
I think there are people reporting it, it's, especially on this, what do you call that, a group chat, or something like that, Holiday Lakes Coalition or something.
Okay.
I think they talk on there that, hey, report it on my Pasco app.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so
Good.
we'll stay
Excellent.
on that, but
Yep.
we may need a camera back there.
Okay.
It's very, very far from Holiday Lakes to the dump site.
Okay.
But when I was meeting with Mike Carbala and John, there's just no place around there to have a transfer station. So people are dumping it there. And
Okay.
it may not even be our residents, could be Pinellas residents, because that area's on the border.
Okay. We'll definitely take a look and get back to you on that. And I will meet with Michelle to see how
Great.
that process is going there, too.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Absolutely so.
Chairman. Mr. Wells?
Let me ask you a couple questions, Mark. I remember a few years ago when we first rolled this out, it's probably been 3 years, Public Works rolled it out, there was an award of $50. We were getting all kinds of folks sending them in. I forgot, why did we stop that? Is there a reason? I think, and I haven't seen any public pushes about this. I know when I got a phone call in Commissioner Mariano's district on Coyote the other day, and the resident actually found a box of, the mail from, so code enforcement worked it. I would hope in this case, they're not getting a warning. I would hope in this case, they get a citation. I'm kind of concerned. I think if you legal dump, you should get a citation. I don't really know that there's a warning saying.
I agree.
Because they know what they're doing. I don't like seeing 152
right.
warnings.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, they shouldn't be doing, especially when you can, you can dump I believe at our dump one day a month and bring household garbage they can bring. Maybe we need to do a better job of educating them on that.
Yeah.
But what's up with the reward? I thought it was a great thing. I thought it was a great push. I think it helps folks speak up. We've got a lot of community, different, like what Commissioner Starkey just mentioned, that they're doing it on the app, but I think it might help to get others, just my opinion.
So, Commissioner, there were a number of conversations around the idea of giving a reward. I believe, and I defer to the county attorney, I think part of the issue was using public funds to do that. I don't recall the whole conversation around it, but if it's the board's pleasure, certainly we can look at something of that nature.
Well, we were doing it. I mean, we rolled it out. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know.
Yeah, it was,
put
and
it
it
to
was,
Jeff, but-
if I recall correctly, it was paid out with successful prosecution. And so I don't know if anything ever got even to that level, honestly. You bring up a good question. I have to take a look and see where that fell off. So, yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not sure that this particular one was the issue that my office had the concern about. There was a building department enforcement initiative that had a reward system that Mr. Rosenthal had proposed that we had some objections to. But my guess, since this is, that when we started this one, it's a crime. It's not a civil infraction. So it isn't us that would be, it's turning it over to the sheriff's office, which is turning it over to the state attorney's office. And so this one had a little more distance to it than the other proposal did, but you may be thinking about the issue I had with.
Yeah, now that you
with
mention that,
building
yes.
departments.
Yeah, thank you
initiative.
for that.
And Mark, if I could, I would like to know, and I think it's great what the employees are doing, you know, if we put a dollar figure to that number, it's gonna be big on the time it takes our folks to handle these things, from picking it up to bringing it to dump, not to mention the tipping fees that are being waived. That's where it comes down to me. I guess what I'd like to know is, how do we decide between a warning and a citation? My opinion, they know what they're doing, it should be a citation. Maybe we need to look at, I'm curious on exactly what the citation numbers are. I know we passed this ordinance, but maybe we need to put a little more teeth in it to have that number be higher, because it's the regular areas. Again, folks just need to understand that they can go dump, you know, I don't know, I think it's 1 day a month at the incinerator, I believe. Household garbage, so why don't they take advantage of that?
Right.
So,
Right.
anyhow.
Yeah, and there are clearly some capacity issues too. If, you know, that was a concern of the folks in Public Works right off the bat, but they've maintained just amazing volume of work. So
Yep.
really do.
That's my point. I mean, they have other things they can be doing, and we appreciate them picking up mattresses and doing those
Sure.
things, but if we
Right.
clearly know
Yeah.
who it is, we honestly shouldn't be issuing a warning.
Oh, yeah.
Just my opinion.
No, I
I would think the board
Yeah.
would agree, and again, I think that was why we passed the ordinance, because we were dealing with, especially by that Walmart out there on 56 or 54 West Chapel Boulevard, it was ridiculous.
So, Commissioner, remember, if you're dealing with a code enforcement process, those citations, there is a warning requirement in state statute.
For dumping?
If you're talking about citations, that process under 162, yes, there's a warning process that is required under state law. The statutory illegal dumping section, which is a crime, which you wouldn't have a citation being issued for, does not require a warning. But,
That's my
so
point.
you've got to, so
let's change
if
that.
you're talking about citations, that's the code enforcement process.
Okay.
Versus if you're talking about illegal dumping, that's a
Right.
crime.
Right.
They're two different things, and so some of the statistics may be getting, if one of our code officers is out there, he may be giving a warning because that's what their process is. If it's the sheriff's office, that wouldn't necessarily be the case.
But it should be, we should be working with the sheriff's office every single time when it comes to illegal dumping to make sure we're able to go through that ordinance, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman?
Good.
Yes.
I want to suggest that we talk to our legislators that we change that. If that's in statute, it says you can't fine someone for dumping, I think that's a mistake. There shouldn't be any warning for dumping.
No, you,
It's
He's saying
the
there's
difference
not.
between-
you can.
He just said there's not. Jeff, would you state that again?
No,
Two
he
different
said,
items.
if we send code and they find someone who is dumping, we can't fine them. We have to give them a warning.
Correct.
I would say, if code goes out and finds someone dumping, they should fine them.
What, Mr. Chairman?
You got a state law problem.
But that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
that is a state law that
Yeah.
needs to be fixed.
Okay.
Yep.
And I can't see anyone being against that.
Okay. Mr. Mariano?
From what I understood, I thought I heard Jeff say that if a code guy goes out there, he's got to issue a warning the first time. If a sheriff's deputy's out there, he can put a fine in. Is that not correct? Or is that correct?
Okay.
Like if-
So the state statute on illegal dumping is something that the sheriff's office must prosecute.
Correct.
That does not require a warning. If
Okay,
you're
that's
traveling
what I
under our civil citation system, depending on the issue, it requires a warning.
Okay.
I mean, they're two different alternate remedies.
But they can get hit with both.
So if we have a code
Not-
enforcement out there
No, all we
that's
can do
out
is give
there,
him
that
a
he knows
warning.
there's a violation, he just can call a deputy, have the deputy there and fine him.
They can get.
That's
Goes through the
right.
process.
Yeah,
Right.
like I said, you can do that both.
So I mean, so we can
So-
get immediate
Yeah.
resolution.
Now,
Why
Well,
would
not
we
immediate,
not, why don't we make it harder to be punished for dumping? A warning does nothing if you're dumping, because it's already happened.
I tell you,
And then in 7 days, you can get warned again. So-
I'm happy to go proceed with our
Thank you.
state legislators and get them to
Yeah.
change that.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying, as of, even still, right now, we can still
Yeah,
get a
we can
deputy in there
pass-
and just
yeah.
find him as well.
Yeah.
But I say, put all the tools in the toolbox.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Over to me?
You?
All right, and thank you. That's such a
I
problem,
just want to point out a couple things, if I can, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
You'll notice that, this is a cross-functional solution, and so one of the things y'all mentioned over the last couple of years with silos and bringing out silos, this is a cross-functional solution between customer service, code, and public works, and even, other agencies, the sheriff's office. And so the teams worked really hard to break those silos down in this instance.
Right.
And I would reemphasize Mark's point is use the system. So get the request to customer service and let them triage it into the system as opposed to sending it straight to code or straight to public works, because then it may get miscategorized if you send it straight to code or public works. So use the system. The other, that's a big number, 1,100, just to break it down.
Humongous.
That's 4.5 calls a day. I mean, so that's a pretty decent amount of phone calls into the system just on this topic. 4.5 calls a day, workday. So just wanted to kind of highlight those two things. The team's done a great job breaking down the silos in this instance. And
So on the way back from Epperson, was that Thursday night?
Yes.
On 54 by Gun Highway, and I called you, Dan, accidentally. It was very dark in that section of the road, and the car in front of me swerved out of the way. I was in the middle lane, and so I had just enough time to react to swerve out of the lane. There was a mattress or box spring, I'm not even sure, laying in the center lane. And I watched in my rearview mirror as cars were swerving everywhere. So I called 911. But last night, when I was coming back from Tampa, that mattress is pulled off to the side of the road. And it's laying there in the swale. So it's still sitting there.
Yeah.
And I will say this too, I have seen an awful lot of glass still on the road from accidents. There was a ton of glass on 54 in the curb that looked like someone's whole windshield, was still there on the street. So we need to do better on that one.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Moore?
Thanks. I'm just going back, since we had talked about this. Back from 1/22/18, when we had this discussion, and Mr. Steinsnyder did respond to us on that situation when it came to enforcement. Let me scroll a little bit. Section 90.1 of the Pasco County Code of Ordinance is the local ordinance regarding littering. Pursuant to Resolution 16-235, violations to Section 90-1 are class, I think that's class 4 if I can read it correctly, violations, which is $500 violation. However, under Section 403.413 Florida statute, the litter law, it appears that depending on the amount of litter dumped, the penalties can be more severe. The violator is charged under the state statute. I'm not going to go through all these statutes, but under that statute, any person who dumps litter in violation of subsection 4 in any amount exceeding 500 pounds of weight or 100 cubic feet in volume or any quantity for commercial purposes or dumps, which is hazardous waste, is a third-degree felony, punishable by, again, certain sections.
Death.
Yeah. So
again, that's not a citation.
Right.
To get to a felony is not a citation.
Again, remember we had that long discussion. Remember
Right.
when we had this last year, and we said, let's make sure we move forward with all of these and make them criminal. And I think that's kind of, that's what we pretty much all agreed on. So not exceeding 15 pounds of weight is a civil penalty. Exceeding 15 pounds but less than 500 was a first-degree misdemeanor, and 500 plus was a third-degree felony. And I remember us having that conversation that we, as a group, we wanted to make sure that we were going to move forward criminally with all these cases.
Okay.
I mean, do you guys remember that?
Mr. Mariano?
So
I do.
what do you want us to do? At this point, what do you want us to do? We didn't put a request in for our legislators, so is that what you're looking to do, is put a request in for the legislators? Maybe we need to draw up a letter for the...
But we already have again, we went over this before. We have the ability now to move forward with misdemeanors all the way up to felonies. That's already there. It's already in statute, part of the statute.
But right now, we have to still issue a warning the first time.
No, if we do it under code, there's two separate things. We can hit them on both sides. So we can hit them with code and criminal.
All right, but
So the civil citation system, that is your traditional code enforcement process, the most you're gonna get is $500 anyway. That's one of the reasons that when we had this discussion, we said if it's true illegal dumping, it's above whatever the poundage limitation of that statute
Misdemeanors
is,
over
and it's a
15,
felony,
that's it.
it should be done through the sheriff's office, so that it goes to the state attorney's office, because that's the only way you're really gonna get anybody's attention. And as the commissioner's point, if you're gonna put it out, you can get a $500 ticket, or you can go to jail for a felony. That's gonna get somebody's attention a whole lot more. And so I don't know that, I don't know that you'd get the legislature to change 162 to say that you didn't have to ever give a warning for a code enforcement case.
Yeah.
On dumping.
you-
I'm just saying on
Yeah,
dumping.
but you can get them, you could hit them both sides if you wanted to. So the county can give them
warning does nothing.
a civil citation or a fine, but they could also be criminally
Yeah.
prosecuted.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could. We can do that now. So we have the ability to do both. And why not do both?
It's usually
Why not do
the preference of both the
Yeah.
sheriff's office and the state attorney's office. Is you don't have a corresponding county ordinance violation with a state law violation, just because then people, if they get to a final outcome on a county ordinance violation, they'll try and argue double jeopardy. I'm not sure that that's really true,
Yeah.
but they'll try that gambit, and so
Yeah.
that it's simple and cleaner for them if they're going on a criminal prosecution, for us to hang back.
So if that's the case, again, I do remember that conversation coming up before too, then everything should be filed everything we file should be under the Florida litter law. You with me? Because that's what falls under here. Again, over 15 pounds is a misdemeanor. Over 15 pounds is a misdemeanor. Again, 500 is when it gets into the felony. Under the statute, not exceeding 15 is where the civil penalty comes into play.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Do
Morrow?
you just want to have, instead of code writing up these violations, we just refer them to a deputy then? And just let it run that way?
So, Chase, your thoughts?
I think, as Dr. Bellis indicated, if you let it go through the process that has been developed, those that are significant enough will make their way to the sheriff's deputy, and we don't take up their resources.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Chase Daniels, Pasco Sheriff's Office. Ditto what the county attorney said. I think we would agree with that. On those very serious and severe cases, obviously we're involved, but we are also responsible for those additional calls for service. The domestic batteries, the domestic violence, the drug violations, you name the litany of issues. So ditto what the county attorney stated would be our stance on that.
And my thing, like the one on Coyote the other day, was a dump truck. It was over 500 pounds. So I guess my question is, and we did send it to code, but I'm curious how that one went, just to see. Hopefully it went to the sheriff's office, so they were to prosecute again. It was an eviction, and the folks dumped it all. I mean, it was a house full of stuff, so.
Yeah, once you can identify who is at fault,
Okay.
then you can do something about it. That, in fact, is the recall now, is that our reward system was around the video program, that if we get a video in that shows the illegal dumping, we can identify the individual, whether through license plate or whatever, and then we get a conviction that award would go out. So I do recall that was the issue. But again, do you catch the people who are responsible? And most of that is going to be if you can get video or pictures that show a license plate and someone in the act.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good. We can move on.
All right, thank you.
Just a quick thing, if I could.
Oh, excuse me.
And just going with, Mark, as far as like, without having to spend money, obviously, we've got a media group that we can work with. Using social media,
Yes.
To kind of promote that, look,
Oh, yeah.
it is illegal to do any dumping. You should report it if you see it. And if you're a Pasco County resident, you can bring it to the Pasco County landfill. I think you bring trash in every day, can't you?
I believe household garbage is 1 day a month. You're able to dump it if you're a Pasco resident, but if you could check on that, I think it would be a great thing to let residents know they can do, because I don't believe they know they can.
Right.
That's a huge,
You're
That's a good
thinking
thing.
1 day a month without cost.
without cost, exactly. So
yeah,
they
well-
can bring household garbage, which a lot of this stuff is, 1 day a month without
We'll get
being
you-
charged.
we'll get-
Yes, they have to get there, but
Right.
still.
We'll get you an
All right,
answer
so
on
let's,
that.
well,
Make
let's,
sure they're
let's
right.
think about that, though. Maybe we need to revisit that. I mean, if we're gonna go 1 day a month, who's gonna hold on to the trash for a month? You know, it's Florida. If you're gonna allow people to, if you want people to just go dump, I mean, they're paid an annual fee anyway.
Yeah.
If there's a way, whether it be one of the dumpsters, on the 10 dumpsters or 12 dumpsters in the area, to go put one more dumpster out there for that, maybe that's what we need to do, instead of having all the other ones where you can't go in there, because you obviously don't want to where the dump trucks are, but maybe we just need to make it that if you don't have trash service, or you get trash and you want to get rid of it, you can bring it in, instead of being limited to when it can happen.
That makes sense. We've looked at a couple other things, too. We've heard that in Hernando County, that their haulers are required to take large items, I think, every other week or something like that, too. It seems to really help with the things like couches that get dumped by the roadside and that type of thing. So there are, other things like that. Well, one thing I will point out is we will continue to promote this and push this. It's nice to see that the citizens already care enough to be getting 4 reports a day on this. So
No, that's good.
just the idea that,
Absolutely,
that everybody wants to be part of the solution is really encouraging.
But if we can create the solution to get that number down just by something we do to make it more easy for people to go do it, then we should do that as well.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman,
I follow that.
that's good. You could, maybe you could look at twice a month or something like that and see if it works. That's an option, right? So it's once a month now, maybe twice a month. See if that's,
I wouldn't mind even seeing the number of folks that take advantage of it now. How many folks per month? I'm sure they track it.
yeah, that'd be the first step.
Yeah,
I'd
we
be
find
curious,
out.
and then, I mean, they pay the fee. Obviously, we're looking at increasing that fee to help pay for the additional burner, which is needed. So this is a good idea. Maybe we do. Again, because I know folks that maybe don't have garbage service, but they still pay the fee, so they should be able to.
Well, it's gonna end up there anyway, so if, like,
Exactly.
so if code's picking it up,
Exactly,
it's
yes.
still ended up in the garbage, like you said.
Yep.
Right? So
If-
it's still gonna,
if- and-
it's
and
still
I'll
gonna
tell you-
eventually get there. It's just our
Absolutely.
people bringing
Right.
it.
And even if we had to take one of those dumpster bins that are there and say, okay, this is going to be allocated for household garbage, waste, et cetera, and you can come in any day you want to come in and let them go dump it, why do they have to worry about it? If it's hard for them to get it there, one thing, but at least you've got all those bays that are there to take one of them out of the regular circulation and make this, so we can pick it up every day. I think it's an easy win. No drain on services.
So maybe Mark's, or get with.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
We'll
with
get you
Solid
an answer
Waste.
on how
See
many
how many
people.
people are utilizing it now, and then
Yep.
come back.
We'll get you an answer on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Everybody good?
Just one thing, Dr. Bellis. I'm actually speaking at an HOA in Holiday tonight, and if I could get an email, we don't have a copy of it, I think.
The PowerPoint?
Yeah, could I
Happy
get a
to do
copy
it,
of that
yes.
PowerPoint, and I'll share it with the
Yes,
residents, the
absolutely
numbers.
so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Happy to do
maybe we'll schedule you for one of my Harbor South Leadership Council meetings. I know Michelle is listening.
Sure.
Because that area is where a lot of the dumping occurs.
Okay,
And
sure.
they'll love to hear that.
Happy to help.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ms. Starkey?
Yes, Commissioner Moore, I've had a meeting now with, I think, 5 of the master developers along the 54 corridor and DOT. A couple years ago, they came to me to see if we could do something to landscape 54. And our thought process is to set up an agreement similar to what we've done on US 19 to figure out how those master plan communities along that corridor can help fund and organize the responsibilities of maintenance if we were to increase the landscaping along 54, because right now there is none.
Right.
So we're working our way on that,
Good,
on
good.
that proposal.
Maybe we'll see them, your efforts and my efforts, and they'll merge in the middle somewhere, right? Wouldn't that be
Well, mine
awesome?
has to be is a little different because this specific effort has to have public involvement in helping to maintain the medians. The
Gotcha.
ones around the interstates, those are gonna be maintained by us.
Okay.
And yes, the areas around the intersection of the Suncoast is actually not, the landscaping is not District 7. It's
Right.
the Suncoast.
That's what-
It's a Turnpike Authority.
Yeah, they came to that meeting.
And they came to our meeting, oh, they came to yours?
Yours too, yeah.
Okay.
And then I told them,
So-
well, and they said that you were already working on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, thanks
And,
for coming.
the Suncoast landscaper had come to our MPO meeting. They went and did analysis and saw we were definitely lacking, but you don't get it if you don't ask. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
You
so-
said it right there. Exactly
yeah.
the same thing I was told.
It goes to other places.
You
But
gotta
of course,
ask.
you have to be willing to do the upkeep too. And then we want to be sure that when we do get it, that it's comparable, it's as nice as we can get it. Because even when we have asked and received some landscaping, it might have been not what some of our neighbors have.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I know what they said on 52 and 54 is that they're going to be doing some work on the Suncoast, and so they didn't want to put the landscaping in until
They're done.
that work was done. So I understand that.
Yep.
But I do look forward to that landscaping committee one day. I had a great meeting at Miopta, and I want to thank all the staff that came, and Dan. And I think we've, hopefully are moving forward with that. And I know they have they have some plans to expand, and I'd love to see those manufacturing jobs come here. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. And when everyone's sitting around the table at one time, I think we get a lot done. And they're very excited about AmSkills, and they're heading over there. Their guy from the Czech Republic's going over there in the next few days to partner with us. Hallelujah, I cleared my FBI clearance, so I'm a level 5. There's 6 levels, and I am cleared to level 5. So it's kind of cool.
You get the Pentagon now?
I don't know, I might go test it out.
Dan said, no, you can't.
Those are need to know. I mean, so you don't have.
When we were down in Panama, I was talking with some of the embassy folks, and when I mentioned that I was on IGPAC, a woman asked me some questions about some trade issues, and I said, I'm not comfortable speaking about that. I prefer not to answer your question, and then boom, I got cleared. So I wondered if that had something to do with it, that I passed a little test. I don't know, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, wait, it took like 5 months. It's ridiculous.
Good.
Let's see, lectures on the lawn. If you noticed in the consent agenda today, we did receive a grant from the Humanities Council.
Yep.
So I'm very excited about that. And our next one is on Friday, I think it's April 26th, and it is the history of cattle ranching in the state of Florida. And many people do not know that Florida was the first cattle ranching state in America. Those cows were brought over from Spain, and we were the first, not Texas. And yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting night. And we have a new flyer coming out because the time was wrong on the other one. And we also changed the food truck person because Wicked Chicken doesn't have the permit yet. So there are only a few food trucks actually that have received their Pasco County food truck permit. And so we've changed it to an Italian. Nina's Cucina, I think, something like that. So I hope you'll come out. It's really a cool night. Bring a crowd with you. And I think it's one of those really nice events that makes you feel really good about being in Pasco County. So come enjoy the evening. Next week, we have a walk around the block in Colonial Hills. So Kelly continues to work hard to clean up that whole area. What do you say?
It's this week.
This week, yeah. Oh, yeah, this week. When is it? Wednesday, Thursday? Wednesday. I don't know which one of you are coming, but sometimes we have multiple commissioners on that. And I think that is it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wells.
And sticking with the landscaping, I think the palm trees look great down there. I don't know what kind of shrubs we have, like on Ridge and Little. I don't know if they're crepe myrtles or wherever they are. They do obstruct views sometimes when you're trying to make a U-turn or turn. So the palm trees are nice. They don't obstruct. I think they look fantastic in my opinion. So I just know our folks and the inmates, I saw them out there trimming on Ridge Road the other day. But it does, if you ever try to make a U-turn, it does obstruct So it was good, but I
It
think the
shouldn't.
palm
They're
trees.
in a clear zone.
Yeah, and anyhow, but it, just my opinion, it does, so.
Especially like Ridge Road.
Yeah, especially Ridge Road.
Just have to slow down a little bit.
Well, no, I'm making a U-turn, but I can't see ahead when people are going 60.
It's that
So,
big truck.
yeah, I know, but I've heard it from residents as well, so, yeah, Ridge Road especially, so let's just leave it at that. And talking about giving back and want to help our seniors, Commissioner Starkey, we do have the Feeding Pasco Elderly Breakfast next Thursday morning at Covington Farms. We're honoring the Porter family, so I'd love to have you all come out. I know I sent you an email, but it's at 7:30 to 9, so that way you can still get to work. I know it's really close to Commissioner Oakley's house, you can almost walk there, but we appreciate, we do raise, at least
Significant.
$100,000 a
Oh, we have
year,
the MPO here.
to help our seniors, so.
And we have the MPO meeting here?
I
Thursday.
think so, yeah.
Yes, so you can come right to the, yeah, so.
Yep. Just have to get up a little earlier.
That's 11.
A little.
No, the MPO is this week, isn't it?
Yeah, there's
only
MPO
a
this
little-
week.
MPO's
Five
this
o'clock
week,
sleep
feeding
here.
Pasco's Airway is next week.
Yeah, Feeding
Yeah,
Pasco
MPO 's
is next
this
week.
Thursday.
Yeah, it's on the 17th.
Huh?
So, and with that, I'm good. Thank you,
Okay,
Chairman.
Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Commissioner Wells, if you want to give me some of those flyers, I'll have them out there this weekend, too.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get that to you.
All right, well, Chasco Fiesta's over, and I want to say the attendance from start to finish was phenomenal. Commissioner Oakley and Commissioner Starkey and myself were all on a boat together. It was pretty cool to watch the whole event go on, and the great support across the board. One of the things that, the tourism report that we just got, the previous meeting, it talked a lot about music festivals. And I want to tell you, I was a little dismayed hearing that they didn't get tourist development funding. They were almost like discouraged from it. I'm going to meet with the Chasco Fiesta. I'm actually going to become their a board member for them. I'll probably be the county liaison to help them get stuff done. But we had some issues that we're going through. We're going to try to talk them through. But I was very disappointed. From years and years, we've always sponsored the event. And the number of people that come or stay into the county is phenomenal. I mean, the gentleman who was up there performing, his name was Ted Ray, for the country concert. And that gentleman, from performing 13 years ago as a youth, won the contest while Blake Shelton, another national figure, was here, and put him under his wing, from what I heard, just from him talking on stage. And he's had #1 hits and #2 hits in the country music scheme. So I don't know why or exactly how it's happening, but I think, local events are very important. And then when they talk about music festivals in that report that we're going to get more in depth on, I think the next presentation, we'll see more why. But I'll tell you, I think one of the longest, if not the longest running tourism event that we have, it was shameful not to have someone there. I actually even reached out to the staff about trying to get people there so you can actually see what goes on. But frankly, at the check-in counter, or depending where the gates are, we should have a booth right there. We should have people right there. And even if we're going to talk about different events running around the county, maybe it's for another county event coming in back and forth. And frankly, whether we do this at the fair or the Kumquat Festival, I think we need a better presence with our own staff right there, saying, here's what's coming up in the county. I mean, I travel around, and I think probably all of us get different tourist brochures. It all talks about what's coming up in the year. And we've got so many events going on in the county all over the place that we need to, I think, do a better job letting people know that come in or that are here about what tourism developments we have going on. So I would like, I'll bring up probably back more of an agenda item later on, but when I do talk with Chasco, to kind of like go over this with them, but we got a full meeting set up, and I just want to make sure that we don't have that happening again, especially for next year.
Well, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Mayor. I think there's a process, obviously, that this board agreed upon for anybody that wants to move forward and ask for any type of funding. So I know Adam and his team is willing to work with anybody for that process. Now, and I'm not singling out one group. You're bringing up one
I'm just on a
situation.
scenario that
But
was
being
brought to me.
general, that process obviously has to be followed through on. And there's a submittal process. You come in front of the TDC board, there's a presentation, and then there's an ask. So people do it all the time. Now, they don't always get what they ask for, but it's the same thing with the Kumquat Festival here in the Dade City. I'm thinking, again, what, 50,000 people or something, but, when people apply for any type of incentives or marketing dollars, there has to be heads and beds. They have to be able to prove that there's heads and beds. So I think I don't think an agenda item for this board, I think it's a conversation you want to continue to have with staff and looking at that process and see if a process was followed or not followed properly.
Well,
Versus, because this board, what's this board going to do? We're not going to relook at the current policy? I'm confused. So the current policy that this board approved last year on how those dollars are spent, that's where I'm confused. I don't know what the agenda item would be.
And again, as I said, I am going to gather more information. We have a meeting and find out exactly what happened. I will tell you from years ago when we used to have the roller skating tournament that was here, okay? They said we didn't need money to advertise to make this event happen. What they needed help was to offset their expenses to help make the event happen. So if they have their own network that's going to come in.
We don't do that anymore.
No, just let me finish. And I think, and I brought this point up from before when we were looking at the thing, and I might have voted, I think I voted against the last two tourist development plans because of stuff like this that was in there. But if I have an event that doesn't have to market outside and brings people in, and granted every hotel room is full, every parking space downtown Newport Richie is full, you can't get anywhere. It's actually in a musical event that the same study we just looked at that spent money on to say music events are good, then I think it's time we actually take a look at it. But again, I want to gather more information before I bring something back, because I will tell you just frankly, the way they described it to me, they were almost discouraged from applying because of the qualification we have in place. So I just want to get more gathering information, bring it back before the board, and actually help them through the process. To give them full cooperation from the county, number one, but number two, they should get some tourist development money as it's an event that does good for the county.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I have a suggestion, and that is that it not fall under tourism. Because tourism is that money comes from people who have paid a tax to the hotel industry. And while I love Pasco, and I don't know that it generates the nights that makes it really good sense to come under tourism, but I do believe it has great value to the county, and there are other events that have great value that may not put people in hotels. So I would suggest we would come up with a different kind of category and a different way to fund it, rather than using the taxes on the hotels maybe. And that would be, for example, like humanities and cultural events committee or something like that, and put it in that category, because some things will never put people in hotels, but are really good lifestyle events for
Great
people
events,
in the county.
local events.
Yeah, so let's brainstorm a different way to help fund some different kind of classification of events that doesn't fall on the backs of the hotel industry.
Yeah, I just want to, again, being general here, no matter what type of event, I just want to make sure we continue to follow the process that's been, you look at look at how many heads and beds for this weekend for the ice skating festival. I mean, 2,200. That's a guesstimate. It could be higher, it could be lower when it comes down to it. And I don't know how much money they are going to end up receiving, but you got to be able to compare and contrast. Again, when you spend TDT dollars, you have to show that return, and you have to be able to prove that return. And how much a lot of people went through over the last couple of years, especially when it comes to being lambasted by the state legislators about the spending and how it was spent. So we got to, it's a fine line nowadays, and we have to be very, very specific. And if we fall off that, you could lose those dollars, and that's the last thing I want to do. So
The definition of a tourist is not someone staying overnight, someone coming from out of a county, coming into the county. The state changed that law from years ago when they had it in play, because of events probably like this.
But the
state
TDT
changed
dollars are generated through a bed tax.
Agree.
Chairman?
So you always have to look at the ROI is. What's the ROI?
Kathy?
Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator, Public Services, and so just want to add a little bit to this. About a year and a half ago, the decision was made to bring tourism, destination marketing organization, under Public Services. It's a whole different ballgame than it was 2 years ago. Commissioner Moore is correct. July 1st, we have to show to the state exactly every dollar that we spend. We have to be fully transparent. It is funded 100% by bed tax. Whatever the donation, what the definition of as a tourist, doesn't matter. The bed tax is a bed tax. So we have gone through a whole transition. We have just come up with a new rebranding for Sports Coast. So the days of the old are different. This board and also the TDC board decided to go in a different direction and not fund $15,000, $20,000 for these local events anymore. There is a process for a $5,000 grant that can be awarded, and the tourist development will match those grants to do outside advertising to bring folks to our county. So I just want to let you know there's been a process, it's been vetted, it's been transparent, and we'll be more than happy. I think we're trying to set up a meeting with the Chasco folks to try to iron out those details. But I do want to let you know they did submit a marketing plan. It didn't fit what it was supposed to. We offered to help. Time was running out, and so I just want to let you know the team is here to help. So I just want to add those few comments.
So to clarify, their marketing plan didn't work with your plan because they weren't advertising outside.
The marketing
But-
plan, whatever the process.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. So whether someone brings it in from a roller skating group that comes in that has their own network that's going to bring the people in, doesn't need marketing dollars, or you get the Chasco Fiesta that wants to bring in top-rate entertainers where they got to spend money to bring people in, where the word will spread about coming in to see this thing, because some people plan their vacations around this, that they can go. So you made a decision, from what you're saying, about how the advertising plan is going
I
to work.
did make the decision.
If the Tourist Development Council made a decision on how to make that happen, but at the same time, if it doesn't work with that plan, even though it's still going to work, to create, and I will get you some economic development numbers, because they do have them, but, just because it doesn't fit in that box, kept, I think, an event from getting some support, not even saying what the dollar amount should have been, but it should have been some support that's out there. And again, the new study that just came out that we didn't get the presentation on yet, talks about one of the best things to do is music events. And I guarantee you, when you get Blake Shelton's and Ted Ray's coming in, that's a music event that helps the county and brings tourism.
Yeah, so nobody's, again, disputing that we think it's a great event, it's an awesome event. Again, there's a process, and everybody has to follow the same process. It doesn't matter who it is, and they have to go through that process. If we don't follow that process, we're gonna find ourselves in trouble, just like she mentioned. We have to be able to show the state that we're following the process. And so if, again, being general, if anybody wants to meet with, they didn't even come in front of the board.
I know, they were
didn't come in
discouraged.
front of the board, so
They
we
were
never heard
discouraged from doing so. They were. So anyway, I'm going to have the meeting, and Kathy, I appreciate you reaching out. Am's going to be there as well, so we're going to talk it through, and then I'll come back and I'll talk more about it later. But I think by the time we have the tourist development presentation, probably could coincide for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So what do you think of my idea, though?
I'm sorry?
What do you think of my idea? There's a place for cultural events.
We'd have to work that through legal and see what kind of a cultural events committee, advisory, I'm not sure where that would go, so again.
We'd have to work through budgeting as well and all that, but.
Would that be a separate not-for-profit? I don't know.
If this board wishes to take ad valorem money and designate it, you've done that
Yeah, I
on a
think we
number of
should.
other occasions, but that's an ad valorem millage issue, and it's got to be taken care of in your budget.
So I know in Land O'Lakes with their new park, they're bringing in the Florida Orchestra, and they're bringing in lots of folks that, provide a nice quality of life opportunity. And I'm sure when the park is done and there's more opportunity on the east side for events, they'll be coming in Wesley Chapel as well. And I think we should work on finding a way to help further along those kind of efforts.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Let me restate something, because all of a sudden I went from 1,200 room nights to 2,200. So 1,200 was the
Oh,
was the
wasn't
proper
22?
number for the hockey tournament. Yes, I had stated it correctly before, and then I misstated. I said 2,200 for whatever
Okay.
reason, so.
Yeah.
That's why you got in.
So it's
Chairman.
still 1,200. But again, sorry, I know you want to talk, sorry. But again, we understand that there's great events, and there are tremendous events, and that being the one you're mentioning. Again, we just got to make sure, we got to continue to follow the process all the way through, no matter who it is. If there's a way to support something, I'm sure the team, Kathy's team, Adam's team wants to be able to support something. But under the current policy, if somebody applies and they meet the criteria, they'll get something. It doesn't, they will. Just gotta, you have to apply and follow the process.
Okay. Mr. Wells?
So my takeaway, and I volunteered out there 3 days last week in the afternoons helping Gary Joyner, senior cook, for volunteers, and we had a lot of kids out there. They had jazz night one night, and Mitchell High School was there, their band. It was a fun week out there helping Gary. But one thing I noticed, and the commissioner brought it up, was that there really is no partnership. We were out there, I didn't see the county out there at all with a booth, which I have in the past, which might be Animal Services or someone out there for like maybe the weekend. I think it would be a great idea to have us out there with with our new motto, Pasco Sports, anyhow. Sports Coast. I was just surprised, and since he brought it up, I wasn't going to say anything. But either way, we're partners. Either way, if they get funding or they don't get funding, we're still partners. And I think, sounds like the commissioner's going to work to kind of mend some maybe misunderstandings between Adam, because I think Adam's done a great job. We're lucky to have him here. But I do agree with him. I've been going to this event since I was a kid, and I still enjoy it. But I do understand that we have our policies, but anyhow.
I just want to add that.
I think it's two separate issues.
Yeah,
too.
I know it is, but I want to bring that up. I just think it would have been a great opportunity for us to talk about it, give out some things, maybe talk about future events.
Not disagreeing, saying that, again, there's a funding and then there's the presence. So if there was a lack of presence there, that's a conversation obviously needs to be had, right? If you feel there's a lack of presence there, so, but
and also, just talking about, and I spoke to Dan about this, just since we're talking about it, like with the barricades. I believe we paid for those barricades. There was an issue with the barricades. We need to figure out, whoever needs those barricades, a process. I know we don't want to be in charge of it anymore, which makes sense. When I say we, the tourism development team. But hopefully there's a process to where there's no issues like there was with the Chasco and others in the county that have needed the barricades and couldn't get them because of conflicts.
It was an insurance requirement
But it hasn't only been the Chasco. There's been another nonprofit that had an issue too.
There's a risk insurance requirement in order to use those barricades.
Well, they worked it out.
As soon as they got the right stuff into the county, the barricades were released to them.
And PCPT would be very upset if I didn't mention, they were in the
yes,
Chasco
they were.
parade, so they
Yeah,
put
they
a
were.
lot of work
Yeah, I
into
saw that
being
one.
there, so I just want to mention that.
But I know in the past, again, we've seen them out there trying to get dogs adopted, and the Sports Coast, what a great opportunity would have had to be there. Again, but it comes down to both sides working together. It sounds like Commissioner Mariano is working on that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. By the way, I got a couple of emails I sent you for pictures.
Yeah, we
Show
have
'em?
those.
All right, we'll talk about that first. That's Sunwest Park, that's the wall that's gone up with the sidewalk. That's on the southern side, the special sand blocker, you might say, going along.
It's hard to stand on that one way.
Keep going. Keep going.
I think that's all
You
the
stuck?
photos.
The videos didn't come over? I had CT clapping out there too at Chasco, I was gonna put that up. CT got to see the Eddie Money concert out there on Saturday.
I wish I could have gone to that. I love Eddie Money.
Back to us, yeah, he was
At
good.
a
He
event.
was good. Boy, and local relatives he's got here, whatever, it's kind of fun. All right, some good news, Little Road, now that we got the paving assessment contract, that stretch from 52 down to Foxhole, maybe a little further, uncertain, actually is going to get done. And I think it's coming up this coming month, so thank you, Mike Carbella. Gulf Highlands, they had their cleanup, and I tell you, staff did a phenomenal job. The grappling trucks that we took out there, people got stuff out to the edge of the street, they picked it out. I think 17 truckloads of trash that were picked up. Really, really worked out well. So much so that Country Club Estates, we're going to try to work on that one. I don't know if we need to make a motion for that.
No.
No? Okay, Country Club Estates is going to get done. That stormwater project, PVAS project, and the Beacon Woods light system is all taking place. So we're going to start that in June, which I think will be phenomenal. And I'll tell you, our staff did a great job at Hudson Beach. Some sand had kind of accumulated, and a citizen brought out a point where it looked like whether it stepped down to the beach, that there was a rock that was in place. Staff within a day went out there, looked at it, took that and assessed it, and without waiting any further, just moved that rock and got out of the way, and the resident was very happy. Matter of fact, he was a gentleman that was riding by the boat parade.
Oh.
I finally got the pictures, and I saw what staff had done. They were like phenomenal.
Okay, good.
So it was good. Something real interesting, at the boat parade, or even before, you might have noticed under Newport Richie, going over Main Street, they like put some lights up that really look good. Kind of like what they did at Epperson.
Yeah, Ray Weiss did that, I think.
Yeah, they kind of made that look. I think if we could look, it was only, at Newport Richie, it was only $6,500 to put the lights and the paint. That might be a good addition when we do the US 19 underpass.
Where were they? Where were they? On the bridge?
It was on the bridge. We couldn't see it at night, obviously, but during the day, it was like painted. But they got lights that go underneath it too.
Oh, nice.
That make it really look nice, kind of like that they did at Connected Cities. And I think if they did that for $6,500 in Newport Richie, I think do the same thing over there. It could tie in real nice to that underpass, would be well lit and look pretty cool. So we can get that added in. And I've got a question. Up at Sunwest Park, a couple of years ago, they had cleaned out the Brazilian peppers alongside our channel.
Oh.
They're starting to grow in again. And I've had other residents talk about getting rid of Brazilian peppers across the county. Is there a process to go through to make something like that happen?
Well, the ones on our property, I mean, obviously,
On our property.
we take care of, but, I mean, outside of that, no, I don't know, other than the residents taking care of their own property.
Okay. All right, so maybe we can do something to take a look at that then? We'll get with Keith?
Okay.
All right. And let's see, on Leisure Beach, I want to say they've been working really close with code enforcement out there, and I got a special email from Jack, one of the directors out there, that said Victoria Marone was doing a phenomenal job out there, and they were very pleased with that. And I'm going to bring up something that probably everybody's talked about. I know we got an email I got sitting in front of me from last Friday afternoon about Port Richey. They don't have a code enforcement person, the building officials resigned. They definitely have some issues. The city does have a lot of assets, so I know the process that goes through is something, if, Dan, you want to talk about it just for a second? What's going to happen if they were ever to be taken over by the county? What would have to happen? Something, they got to look at the assets?
Are we talking about Port Richey?
Port Richey, the city.
Well, it wouldn't be taken over by the county. The state, that's a state process. The state would dissolve it, and their assets would become county assets.
Okay.
So would their liabilities.
Okay, so the state doesn't, kind of got nothing to do with it?
Right, yeah, we don't have anything to do.
Okay. Can we help coordinate with them? Because right now, they don't have a building official, they don't have code enforcement, they don't have a utilities director. That's going to affect people up and down in the county.
Yeah,
I mean, their line
I
goes all
didn't
over.
know they were short those positions at the
Yeah.
city.
From
Yeah,
the
So-
email
yeah.
just come over. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
well,
like a s-
I haven't seen that,
Left and
so.
right.
Okay.
Then they just quit, a bunch of them last week.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, I was not aware of that, and,
That's elected people quit, but
No, they had
employees
staff,
quit.
employees quit.
A bunch of employees quit.
Yeah, building official, utilities director, a code officer. And then they had meetings a couple of weeks ago, they couldn't get a quorum because only 2 people could show out of the 3.
I quit.
And then they have another meeting, and they couldn't get a motion passed, and then I understand this Tuesday's meeting is not going to happen either. So. All right, so we really have nothing we can control or do about
And,
this.
and the problem is that while you could provide that staffing to them through interlocal agreement, you don't have a council that can enter into an agreement with you.
Right.
So that,
That's true.
in some of those positions that you mentioned are some of our high demand positions even at the county right now. I mean, we're short building inspectors. Y'all just modified the budget today to add some more building inspectors. We're we're putting a lot of emphasis on HRE and on code, and so those, it's not like we have excess capacity that we can just shift somebody over to work on that. Now, the city manager hasn't reached out to me at all on those positions. I did not know that those positions were vacant in Port Ritchie, so.
I mean, not having a special utilities director is kind of scary.
Well, I mean, their utility, they buy water from us and we treat their wastewater, so it's really just a retail system that they run.
Right.
So,
If the state was to do something, would we be involved whatsoever as far as helping with assets or talking about a plan? Or do we get coordinated with that at all?
One would hope that they would coordinate with us.
one would hope that they would coordinate with us.
Because ultimately, Dan is correct, the assets and liability, just like when we dealt with, although that was our action, but like Pasco Heights Road and Bridge District, the assets and liabilities become yours, and so those liabilities that are out there become yours, and whatever assets they have become yours as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I'll tell you, from looking at the issues that are out there and what's going on out there, I mean, they've got a great park system that would, to me, be an asset. They've got the city hall building as an asset, they've got a fire station as an asset, the DMA site's an asset. So, I mean, there's other things that are out there that I don't think would be a negative based upon what's going on, but it's, to me, something worth a look.
It's a state-led.
State-led, everything? Okay.
We need to stay out of it and see what
State-led
happens.
issue.
Okay, well, again, we all get the email, we all saw it, and I'm not gonna let this,
Could
consider,
you-
it's my heart of my district, I know it's yours as well, Commissioner Wells, but it's gotta be discussed, because our residents up and down 19 are affected as well.
Oh,
I mean,
big
Port
time.
Ritchie is not just the city of Port Ritchie, but it's all over, and those people are worried about what's the reputation for them as well.
Could you forward that email to me so I can see what the
I'll do
issue
so right
is,
now.
and then maybe I can reach out to the
Okay.
city manager?
All right, and that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have 12 o'clock. You get much, Mr. Biles?
I, just real short, a recent national benefits survey labeled the benefits and in the work we do in HR as a best of the best out of 4,200 respondents with respect to maintaining control of healthcare costs and maintaining a stable and engaged workforce. So that's while that's specific to the HR benefits, that's really a reflection on the work the board's put into maintaining our benefits and making sure that we stay consistent and competitive across the board. So we just received that last week. And I got a couple answers from questions that were asked earlier on solid waste. A Pasco County resident can bring 6 bags of household garbage to the landfill daily. And we have about 12,000 people a month, I think, that take advantage of that. So those are rough numbers. I mean, so there may be a little flex on that, but if you pay the solid waste assessment, you can bring 6 bags a day. And,
Wow.
if you show up with 7, maybe that slides on, so,
That would,
but it's
which
6 a
that
day.
means about every
Yeah. So it's not once
3
a
or 4
month.
days, you can bring all your garbage there.
Yeah, so.
I've never brought trash there from household trash, because I'll get it picked up, but I brought on other things, I never had a problem.
We'll formalize that in a response and a memo, so you see it formally with some more data that you asked for, but I just wanted to, since that was something else, and I got that answer from John through Mike, I wanted to give that to you. So that's all I have
All
today.
right, thank you. Mr. Steinstein?
I only have one item today. The supervisor of elections has approached me about amending ordinance 0611, which is the Pasco County Ethical Campaign Practices Act. It's really an ordinance of the supervisor of elections that you adopt because he can't adopt ordinances, and he's got some changes that he'd like to make to it, and I'll coordinate with the supervisor's office. But since we don't represent the supervisor's office, I'm bringing it to your attention, but it would come back in the normal ordinance process.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
All is well in clerk world.
Oh,
Thank you.
good. I have a couple of things. One, Mr. Mariano told you we were all at myself and Ms. Starkey and Commissioner Mariano were all at the boat parade. I'm an East Pasco person. We're used to the rural area here. I have a second home up in Homosassa. I'm used to that water. But first time I'd been out in the Shasta Fiesta boat parade, absolutely beautiful. I'm just amazed at what the coast looks like when I'm so used to looking at rural area all the time. But it's a beautiful area of our county, and I'm just amazed at the nice homes and all on that river. I've just never been out there on it, and it's a great part of our Pasco County. So, and we saw a lot of people out there that day.
Yeah, it was
so
fun.
a lot of fun. So one other thing I have, I would like to ask the board's approval to send thank you letters reference to our Capitol visit on March 13th to the offices of Representative Travis Cummings, Representative Ardian Zika, Senator Rob Bradley, and Senator Bill Gavano. And I need a motion to get your approval to do that.
Second.
Good. All right, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. I will get those letters out today. So, thank you for that, and that's all I have.
I got one quick
Wait a
thing.
minute.
Just to let the board know in a very general sense that it appears that we have had a very good meeting with Duke on the Anclote River Park. And so I'm sure you should all be having a visit from Keith Wiley and someone else, maybe.
Okay.
But, yeah, hopefully that is moving along quite well.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We'll adjourn at this time until 1:30 when we have public hearing. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners meeting of April 8th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone to please silence all electronic devices. Now is the time for resolutions. Resolution 1.
Is there anyone here representing water? If you could come forward, please. Mr. Carbala, you're not going to join them?
We had Joel,
You don't care
but-
about water?
Yes, he's coming.
Good.
I knew he'd be a part of that.
Resolution number 19-137. Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature, and whereas clean, safe, and sustainable water resources are vital to Pasco County's economy, environment, and its people. And whereas droughts and water shortages serve as a reminder that Florida's water resources, no matter how diverse, are finite. And whereas every school, business, industry, and citizen can make a difference in conserving vital water resources, and whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can help by saving water and thus promote a healthy economy and community, and whereas the state of Florida water management districts, Tampa Bay Water, and its member governments, along with other community supporters, are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation. And whereas the state of Florida, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, and Pasco County have previously designated April, typically a dry month when potable water demands are most acute, as Florida's Water Conservation Month to encourage citizens to help preserve Florida's precious water resources. And whereas the continued support of April as Florida's Water Conservation Month reinforces conservation messages, ordinances, and efforts put forth by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of April 2019 as Water Conservation Month in Pasco County and calls upon each citizen to help protect this precious shared resource. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 8th day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Second. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Rogers, the Water Conservation Coordinator for Pasco County Utilities, and we would like to thank you for recognizing the importance of protecting Pasco County's water resources and for supporting our conservation programs all the time. And Conservation efforts throughout Pasco would not be possible without partnerships, and we have some representation here today from our utilities, O&M water team, our engineering team, and wonderful members from Pasco County Cooperative Extension, the FFL program, FGUA, and SWIFMA.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate everything you do to keep our water the best it can be, and conserving water is very important for our future, and we certainly appreciate everything you do. So, any other statements? If not, y'all want to join me down front, we'll get the pictures.
Yeah, is that it? I didn't know we did.
There's a hand. How are you? Get out of here, will you?
I saw Casey wanted to do a couple of What's that? Atlanta Lakes. Yep. How we doing?
Everybody?
Here. Hey, all right, good to see you.
Let me look sure. There we go.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, guys. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, working on another 10. The second 10 would be the best 10.
And the easiest.
Madam Clerk, resolution number 2.
Is there anyone here representing child abuse prevention? If you could come forward, please. Wonderful. Resolution number 19-139, whereas Florida's future depends on nurturing the healthy development of our children, and whereas every child has a right to a safe, healthy, and happy childhood, and whereas research shows that parents and caregivers who have support systems and know how to seek help in times of trouble are more resilient and better able to provide safe environments for nurturing experiences for their children. And whereas the abuse and neglect of children can cause severe, costly, and lifelong problems. And whereas individuals, businesses, schools, faith-based, and community organizations must make children a top priority and take action to support the physical, social, emotional, and educational development of all children. And whereas Prevent Child Abuse America introduced the blue and silver pinwheel as the national symbol for child abuse prevention, which stands for the health and happiness of all that all children deserve. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, and the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, will implement Pinwheels for Prevention, a statewide campaign promoting awareness of healthy child development, positive parenting practices, and the types of concrete support families need within their communities. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners that said board hereby proclaims the month of April 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention in Pasco County and urges all Floridians to engage in activities whose purpose is to strengthen families and communities and provide the optimal environment for healthy child development. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 8th day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Welcome. Please
Thank
state your name.
Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity. A special thank you to you, Commissioner Oakley. I'm Mariella Olson. I'm the Program Director for the Guardian Ad Litem program here in the 6th Circuit. Right now in Pasco County, we have over 1,000 children in care. in some form under the judicial system of dependency. We do what we do because of our incredible community partners, such as the ones here in Dade City, and my incredible volunteers, some of who have appeared here today, who support our mission, support our program, and help us to increase the awareness of child abuse. Everybody, no matter how small your involvement is, can make a difference. Whether you volunteer with our program, whether you foster a child, whether you mentor a child, or whether you make a donation through the foundation. Everyone can make a difference in the life of the child. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for what you do.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate everything that y'all do. So would y'all like to join me down front for pictures?
Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Good. Thank you all so much.
Y'all slide that way. Thank you. Slide over.
For you.
Get the center. Is everybody,
We all in?
you need to direct them?
Okay.
Keep up
Thank
the
you
good
so
work.
much.
We certainly
We
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, what agenda are you looking at?
All right, Madam Clerk, resolution number 3.
It's right here.
Yep. Is there, well, this is for John Douglas. Are you here? If you could come up to the podium. You can make others come with you if you want. Excellent.
All right.
Resolution number 19138, whereas each year the Florida Animal Control Association recognizes outstanding individuals throughout the state of Florida in the field of animal control and protection that have distinguished themselves as leaders in their profession and shown outstanding achievement in their organizations and communities. And whereas the Florida Animal Control Association has selected Pasco County Animal Services Field Training Officer John Douglas as their 2018 award recipient as Animal Control Officer of the Year for the state of Florida for his outstanding achievement and strong commitment to providing excellent customer service to the citizens and pets of Pasco County. And whereas Officer Douglas made tremendous strides with the professional development of the field services team for animal services, he demonstrated excellent skills as a trainer, coach, and leader. He provided individual case review and support to each of his teammates. He exemplified and championed the goal to incorporate a high level of customer service into each citizen request for service. And whereas Officer Douglas has taken the lead on many special field services projects, such as the outfitting and utilization of the new Specialized Mobile Animal Response Team, SMART, trailer to respond and assist in multiple hoarding cases and animal seizures, which reduce the need for on-scene resources while increasing safety for the housing of the animals during transport. And whereas Officer Douglas aggressively pursued the registration and permitting of pet dealers, breeders, and large kennels throughout Pasco County, his efforts increased both permit revenue and compliance by over 20% in 2018. Officer Douglas actively promoted the mission of animal services while conducting ride-along orientations with various county team members, including assistant county administrators, directors, division leaders, and supervisors. In 2018, Officer Douglas trained 2 new animal control officers, responded to thousands of citizen calls, and safely impounded over 400 homeless pets. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby commends Field Training Officer John Douglas for his dedication, service, excellence, and for his selection as the Florida Animal Control Association's 2018 Animal Control Officer of the Year for the state of Florida. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 8th day of April 2019, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Congratulations. This is a big deal, you know. Obviously being named the Florida Animal Control Officer of the Year, and you're the only one, I take it, if you're the Officer of the Year, huh? Right? That's good. That's good. No, we appreciate everything you do. The entire board appreciates everything you do. We know your job's not easy, and it does take a special person to do everything that you and your teammates do on a daily basis. So we really, really do appreciate this, everything. And I know this board, we've talked many times, you know, a lot of us own animals and dogs and cats, and this gentleman here has probably like 50 horses and 100 cows, and I don't know what else he's got in the back of his house there. But we all are animal lovers, and I recently just adopted another dog myself that was a special needs dog, and so we have a special place in our hearts and our family for dogs and other animals. But thank you so much, and congratulations. I don't know if you want to say a few words.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Now you got to speak
sure?
up today. This is your day. So.
Well, Mike, do you want to say a few words for him?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for recognizing him. Appreciate it. I just can't believe he's without words. He's usually very talkative, trust me. Has an opinion, you know. So, but John does an outstanding job for us, and he kind of sets the stage for the rest of the officers. He trains them. He's watching over their cases. He's looking at how they're responding and things like that. He's got a great sense of customer service, which I think Ron has helped instill in him as well. Of course, you know, if you're leader of the year for Pasco County, it's got to rub off somewhere, right? So we appreciate the whole team and what they do, and especially John for that award he got. He was up against some pretty stiff competition at that awards banquet, so I was very proud of him.
Oh, so tell us about the awards banquet. Where was this held? And how
yeah,
many
it was held in
counties?
Orlando.
Okay.
All the Animal Control Association or counties and some nonprofits as well show up for the Florida Animal Control Association conference for the year. It's a training session, and then at the end of the conference, they actually give out awards for various positions throughout. You know, there's one for volunteer, Animal Control Officer of the Year, Employee of the Year, things like that. Agency of the Year. So
that's great. Well, congratulations again. Thank you for representing us well.
Yeah,
it's a very, very, very big deal. So, if I could ask the board and the staff, and I think you know the team, you know, Dan and Jeff and Kathy, if you ever would come down. Okay. Yep. Sorry, Jeff. I'm making you walk.
What do you get? Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. You go ahead. You get to stand next to me.
Congratulations. Great job.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Good job, too.
Hey, Mike, hold this one for me if you would. No, Frank. Hold on. Yeah, I know. Hold this together. Take a couple photos. See them all? One more. I'll get one more. Great. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, shoot. So you left that invested? You have to sit behind you right here. Oh, okay.
Okay, now we will proceed with the public hearings. Item P1, ordinance. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of P1?
We do. It's advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on February 8th, 2019, and March 22nd, 2019. We do have one person signed up. Would be Todd Pressman?
Yeah. You may not need to talk.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nectarios Pitos for the Planning and Development Department. Item P1 is a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, 1805 Green Creek. I'll go ahead and read the ordinance title into the record. An ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, Map 215 and Sheet 20, changing from Res 3, Residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, to COM Commercial, located on the east side of Land O'Lakes Boulevard, approximately 778 feet south of Wilderness Lake Boulevard, providing for repeal or severability and an effective date. The subject site is a vacant 2.5 acre site with wetlands, commercial, retail, and some other vacant sites surrounding the property located on the east side of US 41. The project proposes to change the future land use from Res 3 to COM with the intent to establish 8,600 square feet of office and 9,800 square feet of office retail use for a total of 18,400 square feet. The local planning agency heard this project on February the 21st, 2019, and recommended approval. The future land use maps. Future land use map is indicating residential flues all surrounding the property. Here it shows the change to the COM, and we'll notice on the zoning maps coming up here what's actually happening on the ground. Some RMH and C2 zoning to the south. To the north and east is MPUD in terms of the Caliente resorts. And to the west is C2 general commercial districts. The project meets comp plan criteria and thresholds for this site to be designated COM. A transportation needs assessment was required, and the VC ratio will exceed 1.0 with or without this project. Based on Res 3 development potential, there would be 414 additional PM peak hour trips. The proposed project based on COM would be 77 additional PM peak hour trips, which is well below existing expectations. Nevertheless, plan improvements will help mitigate the VC ratio. Recommendation for the BCC is to adopt this comprehensive plan amendment and to authorize the chair to execute the originals as per standard protocol. And that completes this presentation.
A question, and like I do for any project that's going to be somewhat near a major trail.
Yes.
So we don't know exactly where the Orange Belt Trail is going to be coming through, but we think it's going to come through on Tower, which is next to Caliente there. How will this property allow trail users to access the trail and trail users to access this commercial property, which would be very beneficial for them?
Right. Oh, the aerial here, let's see if we can zoom in. Nope. Okay. There is a 12-foot multi-use path.
There is in the front of it?
In the front along the east side of US 41. So it's already there.
Okay.
And so as you move north, it would be able to intersect, but that would be happening off-site from this location.
Okay, and they'll just enter into the development in the driveway of with the cars, or is there access to the property from a place for pedestrians and bikes, or what's the thought?
Well, there would be a driveway that would come off of US 41 onto the site. And just like any other site, pedestrian access would have to traverse that driveway.
Okay.
But it's right along the frontage.
Okay.
Okay. I have one person signed up, Mr. Todd Pressman. You want to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Todd Pressman, 334 East Lake Road, number 102 in Palm Harbor, Florida. I would just add to you that through the process, we've had all staff recommendations of support, your prior boards, and to my memory, we've had no opposition from any citizen that's been raised on the site. Staff's done a good job presenting it to you. I'll keep up with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak to this item?
Seeing none, move for approval.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All those.
This is a roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Come on, short timer.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passed. Thank you. Now we move on to P2.
Move.
And do we have proof?
Do you have proof in the Tampa Bay Times, March 1st and March 16th, 2019?
We're continuing this to
This is a continuance.
Item P2 is PDD 197398. It's Burge Kandesian and Paul O'Grady. It's a continuance to the May 7, 2019 BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Okay. All right, there's no action required.
No, you need to
Okay.
take a motion to continue.
Move to continue.
Second.
Okay. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, next, you need to swear in.
You've got another
Oh, you
continuance.
got
Another
another.
continuance item, P3.
What's the continuance? Oh, okay, gotcha.
We do have proof of P3 Tampa Bay Times, March 15th, 2019.
Item P3 is PDD 19-0908. It's a large-scale comprehensive plan, CPAL 1813, in the name of Grand Oaks. This is a request for continuance the May 21st, 2019 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey. Your agenda does state a date uncertain, but the date has been determined, May
Move to continue.
21st, 2019.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to continue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. P4, and at this time, we need to,
It's scheduled on the agenda as a continuance.
oh, we have someone to
You can
speak.
speak now, or you can speak then, but you
Yeah.
can't do both, right?
You can't. You only get one shot.
One time to speak, either now or the next meeting. So it's going to be continued now, next meeting.
We're having conversations.
Okay.
You want to clarify the time, sir?
Yep.
Chairman?
Shall I clarify that this is not the first, this continuance is not going to be the first hearing on this item? So the first hearing on the item will be before the local planning agency on May 9th, 2019 at 1:30 here in Dade City. This particular item will be the second hearing on the item, which is May 20, the continuance that the board has just approved, May 21st, 2019 at 1:30 in Newport Richey. And then with the adoption, that will be scheduled for July 9th, 1:30 in Dade City. So there's 3 opportunities to speak on the item.
Grand Oaks is?
Yes.
I think we've changed that to be in Dade City.
We've changed the Planning Commission hearing to be in Dade City. That will be
Right. But also our
continue.
meeting also be in Dade City?
There's three hearings on the item. The first is the local planning agency in Dade City at 1:30, May 9th. The continuance that you did today, which is a transmittal meeting, is May 21st at 1:30 in Newport Richey. And the adoption will be July 9th at 1:30 in Dade City at 1:30.
Okay. So if they're coming to hear that at the second meeting in Newport Richey, they won't be able to speak to that unless they travel, right?
They are there are 3 noticed public hearings for a comprehensive plan amendment. They have an opportunity to speak at each one of those meetings, yes.
Okay. And actually, the first one and the third one are here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we need swearing in.
Did you already read?
He asked for swearing in, so that.
You read first.
Okay.
You do your part first.
There are 2 rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If the staff or planning commission has recommended approval and there is no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or planning commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or planning commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria for rezoning found within the board's land development code.
Okay, if you plan to speak about any of the remaining items on rezoning, if you could stand and raise your right hand, I can swear you in.
Any item from P4 through P8?
P8. Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right, P4.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Denise.
If I could just go over proof of
Great,
publication. Thank you, sorry. P4, we do have proof in the Tampa Bay Times, March 1st and March 16th, 2019. P5, 6, and 7 were all advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on March 16th, 2019. P8 was advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on March 22nd, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. Item P4 is PDD 197396. This is a companion to your item P1. It's a rezoning in the name of Gergis S., and Teresa Gergis Ahab. It's for a change in zoning from RMH to a C1. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval. I do want to read a change to the attachment 6, which has been provided to the clerk, and it is a change in the resolution, and it now therefore be resolved section of the resolution. That section now reads, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, in regular session duly assembled with a quorum present and voted this 8th day of April, that the zoning classification of the following described real property is changed from an RMH mobile home district to a C1 neighborhood commercial district, effective on the date that the corresponding small-scale comprehensive plan amendment number CPAS 1805 is effective. Again, this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from both Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak against this item?
I'm sorry, what number are we on?
No.
P4.
P4.
This is the same, no, I already said my comment.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak? Anyone here to speak against this item? Seeing no one, we have only one person signed up, but he is for the item, I believe. Yeah. Right, Mr. President? Okay. All right.
Leave it on consent.
Leave it on consent.
Item P5 is PDD 197353 in the name of Pasco County Facilities Management Department, Vincent Academy. This is a change in zoning from RMH Mobile Home District to AR Agricultural Residential District. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against item P5? Seeing no one, we'll leave it on consent.
Item P6 and P7 are companion items. Item P6 is PDD 190875, which is a waiver request in the name of Fraternal Order of Eagles, Zephyr Hills Airy, number 3752, Inc. It's for a fraternal lodge in an AR district, and it's a waiver of the specific distance limitation of 1,000 feet from a church for the purposes of the consumption of alcoholic beverages by the folks that are part of the Fraternal Order of Eagles and their guests. And this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from both the Planning and Development Department, just the Planning and Development Department. The Planning Commission doesn't hear this.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this item?
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
You may.
It seems to me, I mean, we get these asks for waivers, and it seems to me that they could be, if no one's objecting, they don't have to come here. I mean, what's the process to
Well, still
have it
public
done,
hearing, it
a
has to
staff
come here.
approval?
Actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Commissioner, and is this something I can comment during this time? Okay, thank you. We are working on a administrative process for these types of things, and we're hoping that that will come to you before the end of the year, where that consumption on premises, even if there's a waiver, when there's no objections through the waiver procedure where we haven't received physical objections, for that to be an administrative process. So it's something we're working on to make an amendment to the Land Development Code to effectuate that.
I support that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Leave it on consent. P7.
Thank you. P7 is PDD 19-CU20. It's a conditional use, and it's in the companion Fraternal Order of Eagles, Zephyr Hills Airy, number 3752, Inc. It's for Fraternal Lodge in an agricultural residential district. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this item? Seeing no one, leave it on consent. P8.
Item P8 is PDD 19-0907. It's a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAL 1818, in the name of Aaron Cutoff, changing an amendment to the future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 13, changing from Res 1 to Res 6 on approximately 39.93 acres. And today we're asking that you authorize transmittal to the Department of Economic Opportunity and other reviewing agencies of this proposed comprehensive plan amendment.
Is there anyone here to speak against this item?
I'm not here to speak, but may I make a comment?
You may.
Against it? So again, this is another one that is bordering, or the orange belt will be on this property, somewhere in that corridor. This is the orange belt route, I believe. So at some point in the planning process, I wish, and I don't know if this is the appropriate place, but somewhere for my comfort, and maybe the other commissioners' comforts, I looked through here and I didn't find anywhere where it mentions that. And maybe I missed it, and again, maybe this is the wrong place, but I would feel really comfortable if there's some kind of sheet that acknowledges that there is a master trail coming very close to it, if not on it.
We can certainly add that to the discussion when we talk about our transportation needs assessments within the.
Because I read the transportation analysis in here, and there's nowhere that it mentions one of the most important trails in the county.
Well, we can add that in there. Usually we handle that at the site plan review level.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, this is a comprehensive plan amendment.
I know, that's what I'm saying, I'm not sure it's the
So
right place, but they did have traffic stuff here, and nowhere is the trail on here. So, it's not acknowledged in any map, or, it's not acknowledged, that's all.
We can make, that's an easy change. We can make that happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. P7 moved to consent. That's all the consent items.
P8. That was P8.
That was P8.
That was P8.
Yep. P8, excuse me.
That's the end of the consent item.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Thank you.
opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion passed. Okay, is there any other business at this time? Seeing none, we're adjourned.
I could have gone to the different office.